In a world where we are just brutalized with one injury after another over and over and over again, it is good to get some positive news, right? I mean, it at least is something for us here. So let's go ahead and let's dive into what we have. And the main storyline that we are going to be looking at is the best wide receiver in fantasy football has returned. No, I'm not talking about CeeDee Lamb. No, I'm not talking about Rashee Rice. No, I'm not talking about Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua also missed practice today. We'll get to that in a second. I'm talking about the big Q, Quinton Johnston, officially back at practice on Wednesday. Thank God. I know everybody and their mom is going to be focusing on this one storyline this week. Everybody was going to want to see how Quinton Johnston looks after missing week 6. Now, besides the best wide receiver being back at practice, we have some other news as well. We have DJ Moore not practicing on Wednesday. It does look like DJ Moore is at risk of missing this game. Jacoby Myers doesn't practice Wednesday. There are a lot of trade rumors circling around Vegas right now surrounding Jacoby Myers. Brock Bowers doesn't practice on Wednesday. You're not going to see Brock Bowers until after the week 8 bye at the minimum. JJ McCarthy gets in a limited practice, but it does seem like the job's going to be Carson Wentz this week. Jalen Carter is going to be playing week 7. Darnell Mooney gets in a limited practice. So CeeDee Lamb is expected to play week 7, barring a setback. So now we have the second best wide receiver in football behind Quinton Johnston returning. If you have Lamb, rejoice, and you jam him in your lineup without hesitation. Let's see if there's anything else worthy talking about. So Marvin Harrison gets in a limited practice on Wednesday. So maybe there's an outside chance that Marv actually is able to come back in week 7. The thing with Marv is he does have the week 8 bye. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he sits this one out just so he can rest until week 9. Same thing with Kyler Murray. Calvin Ridley won't play. David Njoku won't play. Chuba Hubbard will play. And actually, this is maybe relevant for me to bring up right now before we really even dive into anything here. And that's going to be updated projections that you have with Rico Dowdle, because you actually did have this coaching staff coming through and also saying in regards of this situation with Dowdle's role, he's earned the right to help this team and we'll find a way for him to do that. But they're also saying it doesn't matter who gets the first touch, they're both going to be involved heavily. So with that, you do need to really consider what things look like when it comes to Rico Dowdle this week. Rico Dowdle right now on Underdog is currently higher lower 63.5 rushing yards. If you look at this in comparison to maybe somebody else that plays like tomorrow, just to get a baseline, Jalen Warren's at higher lower 50.5 rushing yards and higher lower 20.5 receiving yards. Like, the projections have Dowdle coming back down to earth dramatically. If you think this is wrong, if you think there's no shot that Dowdle doesn't see the same workload, then by all means, go take higher on the 63.5 rushing yards. I'll honestly warn you, I'm not doing that. But yeah. And of course, if y'all wanted to check out any of these projections, I know you already know this, but maybe somebody else doesn't. They're all on Underdog Fantasy. There's actually the lock of the century right now on Underdog. Rashee Rice higher than 48.5 receiving yards. His last 7 healthy regular season games, he's smashed this higher literally every single week. Higher than 48.5 receiving yards is a no-brainer for Rice. But you can always check out any of these projections on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is at the very top of the App Store for a multitude of different reasons. One, because they are the absolute best sports app, at least I've been on. That's why they've been the only sponsor of this channel for 5 years. And they have the best promo that I've seen in 5 years, which is after you play your first $5, you're going to get $100 added into your account with code FLOCK. And on top of that, you'll get a free pick for tomorrow night's game. Higher, lower, Jalen Warren, half a total yard. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. You can find that link in the description as well as the comment section. But let's move this back over and let's see if we have anything else of relevance. Puka Nacua not practicing on Wednesday. Maybe y'all already saw the Flock League video that came out. Puka got traded in my league. I would expect that Puka is not going to be playing week 7. He has a week 8 bye. I think you're looking at getting Puka Nacua back in week 9, hopefully. Calvin Austin is ruled out on Thursday. And let's see if there's anything else of relevance here. I don't think that there is. Terry McLaurin's going to practice, but we haven't been told if Terry McLaurin's going to play or not. And this was the quote I was talking about previously. The Panthers expected to give both Rico Dowdle and Chuba touches, quote unquote, regardless of who gets the first snap. So the concern is it turns into the Seattle Seahawks, where both running backs are touching the ball, but neither one is really making a difference either way. But I think, let's see. Somebody asked if we have an update on Mike Evans. We don't know if Mike Evans is going to play or not this week yet. I do believe that Mike Evans is back at practice. Let me go ahead and see if we have any official word. I don't have any official word on if Mike Evans will be playing or not. I would be a lot more hesitant with Mike Evans than I would be with jamming back in CeeDee Lamb and jamming back in Rashee Rice. Now, let's look at this from Murph, trading Baker, Barkley, Ladd for Gibbs and Zay Flowers. Barkley to Gibbs is an upgrade. Ladd to Flowers is an upgrade. I don't know who else you have a quarterback. If you had another quarterback that you hit on in a big time way, such as Drake May, then sure, you can go ahead and you can make this deal. I don't think it's like a no-brainer by any means. Like if you needed a quarterback, I'd rather have the Baker side. Reed says, Allen's on bye, Purdy, Rodgers, or Penix. We have London. If Purdy plays, I want to go Brock Purdy. He did get in a limited practice today. If Brock Purdy doesn't play, I am myself starting Aaron Rodgers over Michael Penix on my team this week where I have Josh Allen. Okay. Now going over to running back, I would say that you're still probably playing Rico Dowdle over Montgomery, Jordan Mason. Here in the flexes, you're probably going with the combo Jordan Mason and David Montgomery, to be honest. And then at tight end, I would go Tucker Kraft over Jake Ferg now that you have CeeDee Lamb in return. Okay. Now, Squirrely is trading Daniel Jones, Rico Dowdle, Josh Downs for a future first. I'm assuming this is on a rebuilding team. Michael Carter's nothing and Trey Tucker's nothing. So realistically, if we look at this, I would say that if you're a rebuilding team, I understand making the move, but I would just assume you could get significantly more value. So like realistically, the value side is on the Daniel Jones end of this. I would try to at least get another second. Okay. Now, kill him with kindness, trading Derrick Henry, Jordan Addison for Kenneth Walker and Chris Olave. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry here easily. Like Derrick Henry has a path to being good in fantasy again. I don't see that path for Kenneth Walker. Okay. Now, let's look at this. This is Gaetano trading Rice and Pickens for Puka Nacua. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. If we do this deal, we're starting A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson at receiver. We have Kyron, Judkins, Rachaad White to play at running back. So you have plenty of depth, and this is a league in which you don't necessarily need that much depth. So as long as you had a winning record, I am okay with you making this. Now, Snappy Ware, running back. I'm going to go with Quinton Judkins against the Miami Dolphins this week easily. Wide receiver, you play Roma Dunze, and then for the flex, you play Rashee Rice, really without question. Now, Hulk trading Kamani Vidal, George Pickens for Josh Jacobs. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs here, and I don't think it's that close now that CeeDee Lamb has returned. Now, D's Nuts trading Jefferson for Saquon Barkley. I have Barkley on my own team, and in my situation, I actually need a receiver, and I have plenty of running back production. So I would rather have Justin Jefferson over Saquon Barkley, but looking at your team, I don't necessarily think that you really need either position. You can get by as is. So I think that this is going to be a personal preference type deal for you. I do want to point out that Jefferson's already gone through his bye, so you're going to get him for an extra week. Now, Svington Jace is worried about the suspension, tight end, half point per reception as well. So if this was a regular league, I would just very easily take the Quinton Judkins side. I don't think you need to be worried about a Quinton suspension at this point. If we were looking at what we have with this being a tight end premium format, it may be tougher. Tight end premium league, I understand us holding on to Jake Ferg. You have McBride and Goddard, though, so in reality, like, I'm okay with you going and getting Judkins regardless. I wouldn't be concerned about a suspension at this point for Judkins. And when we hit 200 likes on the stream, we'll send out a couple free questions to multiple people. I'm trying to rip through these before anybody goes to bed. Now, Connor's trading Ladd, Hunter, Tyler Warren for Golden, Sutton, Darren Waller, and Brock Bowers. Tyler Warren to Brock Bowers, downgrade. Ladd to Sutton, lateral move. Hunter to Golden, slight upgrade. We pick up Darren Waller for the short term. For me, I'd probably rather keep the best player in Tyler Warren, but I'm okay with it. Now, Law Big EV trading Swift, Walker, Jacoby Moore for Chase Brown, Javonte, and Chris Olave. So Javante's the best player in this deal by far. So honestly, yeah, in 10-team format, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make this deal for Javonte. I mean, Jacoby Myers, DJ Moore, those, and Kenneth Walker, those are not startable pieces at this point. Now, Floppy King, a running back. Jordan Mason, Kamani Vidal is not the easiest call in the world. I would definitely play both of them over Michael Carter, where if you look at Michael Carter, you're just pretty much locked and loaded into a 50-50 timeshare in a bad offense. And the thing as well is Michael Carter's not a good running back, right? So like there's not much interest in me for going through and playing Carter. Looking at my running back rankings this week, I have Jordan Mason at 20 and Kamani Vidal at 22. Looks like the expert average also has Jordan Mason ahead of him, but I think it's close. And then I would go with Ladd McConkey as well as Cortland Sutton, a wide receiver in the flex over Xavier Worthy, now that you do have Rashee Rice back in. Okay. Now, Bezecki trading London and Pickens for Barkley and Tet. London to Barkley, lateral move. Like, I have Saquon Barkley on my team. I need a wide receiver, so I would send Barkley straight up for London. And then Pickens versus Tet, I'd rather have Pickens, so... If you need a running back, and yeah, you're desperate for a running back, I understand you making this trade, but I don't necessarily think like you're running away with it value-wise. But because you need a running back, I'm okay with it. P-Money says, Judkins is on the trade block. I feel like I should at least try to get him. Would this be a good trade, or should I try for somebody else? So I do have Pickens right ahead of Quinton Judkins at this point, but taking a look at your team, you have Rashad White that we can play in the short term. Vidal that we can play in the short term. Dowdle's okay. It's a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly, and it's a full PPR format. Right now, we have Jefferson, Lamb, Brian Thomas, Jalen Waddle, J-Mo. So you have so many wide receiver pieces that I would say that you specifically, it's okay if you make this deal. Even if I do have George Pickens ranked ahead of Quinton rest of season, I would initially offer instead of George Pickens, though, I would try to see if there's a chance we could go ahead and get send him somebody like Jalen Waddle. Send him somebody like Brian Thomas. Like, again, I'm okay if you were to make this move, but I don't think it's the most exciting. Okay. And let me go ahead and P-Money. Let me send you a free trade question just in case there's something you want to follow up with. So you should have a free trade question to your account you can send in. Now, Mark, here at running back, we're going to go ahead. We will play... Kamara versus Vidal, honestly, is interesting. Like, it's not like Kamara's had any excitement whatsoever this year. I have Alvin Kamara RB21 in my rankings this week. Vidal at RB22. So I think you flip a coin between them. I have Kamara 1 spot higher. And then, yeah, I'm definitely playing the wide receiver here in the flex easily. Now, GT007 says, who do I stream? Goff, Purdy, Stafford, or Darnold? I would stream Goff. You have an applied team total of 29 points for him. Running back, Rashad White, auto start with no Bucky Irving. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Rice are both auto starts. Tight end, McBride. And then for the flex, between Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Keenan Allen, it's a half PPR format. So a half PPR league, I'd probably go ahead and play J.K. Dobbins. If it was a full PPR league, I think you could talk me into Keenan. Now, BW Herman, we need 2 flexes here. I think we're going to take the combination of Jalen Warren and... No, it's a full PPR league, so you play Chris Olave. And then Jalen Warren, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, both are in great matchups. I'm a little bit concerned about what you have with the fumbles for JCM, but I think you can go ahead and play Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt because the matchup's so good against the Dallas Cowboys, where the over-under of that game's like 52 points. Now, DGAD, running back between Brees, Etienne, JCM, I'm going to go with Etienne. Wide receiver, Rome, Chase, Rice are all auto start. So if you wanted to flip to like Brees or Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt instead, you can. But the main thing that I want to hammer to you is you make sure that you put a wide receiver in your flex. Quarterback between Jalen Hurts and Drake May. I completely understand that if you're looking at the production that we've had so far from these quarterbacks, like Drake May's at 20.65 fantasy points per game. And if we go over and we look at Jalen Hurts, he's at 20.73. So they're almost identical. But you have such a large sample from Jalen Hurts this year that I honestly would not only this year, through the past 4 years of his career, I would go with Hurts. And the wide receiver, we take Deebo Samuel, assuming he plays. Great matchup. Tight end, Trey McBride. And then in your flex spots, you're going to be playing the combination of, I guess, most likely Matthew Golden, and between, you're not going to have Mixon. You're not going to have Bucky Irving. So it's really between Bam Knight and Zach Charbonnet. I have them both in E tier. I have Bam Knight as the slight edge, but I'm not going to fault you at all if you wanted to go Sharps. I think you're also going to have to just listen in and look at the projections of what we have with those Arizona backs. T-Money says, W, new Flock League video just dropped. Let me know, who do you think won the Puka deal in the Flock League video? If you watched the Flock League video, let me know who you think won the Puka deal. Higgy, quarterback, I'm going to go May over Daniel Jones. Running back, Achane auto start. We're going to go Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt in a good matchup as well. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Tet, and then in the flex, you have Rome Odunze. We got London side, Puka side. We literally got a 50-50 in the chat for the people who watched the video. Actually, yeah, for me, I think Zach won it. Yeah, I think Zach won. I think Zach offered me Puka Nacua for Josh Jacobs, Josh Allen, and DK Metcalf. And I was like, okay, well, 0% chance I entertain that deal. I was like, I look at Jacobs and Puka the same. You're going to get multiple extra games from Jacobs already through the bye. But, so I didn't even consider throwing on Josh Allen and DK Metcalf onto it. But crazy. I was honestly shocked that Danny would be willing to send that price for Puka. But mystery trading Hurts, Benson, AJ Brown for Rome Odunze. You have Drake May at quarterback, so I mean, I understand you doing it. Rome's through the bye. DJ Moore's hurt, so it's not like you're running away with this value-wise, but 100%, I think it's a reasonable trade if you wanted to make it. Okay. Now, let's move this over. And sorry, gotta leave a comment on YouTube video real quick. Okay. Now, B Woods trading Judkins JMO for Derrick Henry, Mike Evans. Henry, Judkins, tomato for me. I have Henry slightly higher, but I would very, very easily rather have Mike Evans over JMO. So I'm going to take the Derrick Henry side. Y'all know I'm not a big Derrick Henry guy, but I do think the Baltimore Ravens offense will be much, much better going into the future. Now, Tired Drive. Here for the flex, you have no Puka, you have no James Cook, you have no Bucky Irving. Between Chuba Hubbard, Bam Knight, I honestly may just take Bam Knight. We'll see what the projections look like, and we'll see what the coaching staff's saying this weekend with the usage of these Arizona backs. Phoenix Lance says, little worried about Tet versus Sauce this week. Lamb and Kittle have things in flux too. Okay. Now, little worried about Tet versus Sauce this week. Lamb and Kittle have been in flux too. So Rachaad White auto starts, so you don't need to think about it. Tight end, if Kittle plays, you go Kittle. Now, I completely understand that, like, Cade Otton's a super exciting backup, just given everybody that we've had injured. You play CeeDee Lamb in a heartbeat, and, like, if you didn't want to play Tet with the tough matchup, you would go Jalen Warren. But for me, full PPR format, I think you just keep it simple. I think you just play Tet or McMillan. Like, do they have projections out for Tet right now? Let me see. I understand it's a tough matchup. I understand that Cortland Sutton just fell flat in said matchup, but it's not like the Jets have had a great defense all year long. Okay. Let me see if I can find a... Ted or McMillan's higher, lower, 53.5 receiving yards. So if you wanted to go Jalen Warren, I'm not going to fault you for it. Jalen Warren's a good matchup, but the usage is a concern. Now, Gonzo, wide receiver. Devontae Adams auto start with no Puka. And then for the flex, Quinton Judkins, Kyron Williams are both very interesting. I'd love to start them both. You probably have to play Kyron, but Judkins is in a great, great spot against the Miami Dolphins defense. Okay. Now let's move this to our next question. Dorf trading Fannin in a 2027 early to mid second for Ricky Pearsall. For me, I'd rather have Fannin in the second. It's a tight end premium format. What's the gap between Harold Fannin and Ricky Pearsall in a tight end premium league, points per game, rest of season with the David Njoku injury? No idea. So I'd rather have the Fannin's healthy, and you get the rookie pick for the flexibility too. The Soaring Eagle trading Kenneth Gainwell for Travis Hunter. This is not a dynasty league. This is a redraft format. I mean, if this was a keeper or a dynasty league, it would be Travis Hunter, and it wouldn't even be remote close. In a regular redraft league, it's just going to be frankly up to you with what you think of Hunter rest of season. I mean, he's had 0 games of 10 plus points so far. But it looks like we just hit 200 likes on the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some free questions. Again, all you got to do to get said free questions will be go down there and drop a like on the live stream. Super simple. And then also drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat in case you win free questions. I know to send them over to. And then obviously, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions to these live streams, we're streaming every single day answering them. You can tell we're just spending hours and hours and hours every day answering them. How most people are getting these free questions is they're taking advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you will get $100 added into your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get a free Jalen Warren pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for the game tomorrow. Underdog Fantasy is at the very top of the App Store among all sports apps. 1, because they're a great app. 2, because they're available in almost every state. And 3, because the promos they're running right now are crazy. Use promo code FLOCK to get all the promos plus free questions to these live streams. Now let's send this over to T-Dog1. Let me see if I can find you on the site, my friend. Appreciate you hanging out with us here as always. T-Dog1 just found you and just sent you over a free trade question. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the stream. Let's send this out to SJD Man. SDG Man. Wrong J. Just found you. There are 3 accounts with this username. So I'm going to send it to the one that is the most recently active that has the season pass attached to it. So we just went ahead and sent you over that free trade question voucher. And let's send this next one over to Bryce_Ditto. Hopefully this is your flockfantasy.com username and not your... Okay, yes, it is. I was going to say not just your YouTube. But just found you and just sent you over a free trade question. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream, my friend. But now let's get this going for Daddy Geis. Here, wide receiver. Rome's an auto start. Brian Thomas, you're starting. And the 2 flexes, you're going to be going with the combo of Jordan Mason, then Mike Evans if Mike Evans plays. And then if he doesn't play, you pivot to Jordan Addison. Mike Evans is plan A. Jordan Addison's plan B. Now, Jake Moody Lover trading A.J. Brown, Brock Bowers for Rome Odunze. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Harold Fannin and Hunter Henry at tight ends. Wide receiver is not the most inspiring. So I would say you probably take Rome Odunze here unless you're like a 5-1 team, a 4-2 team where you can really bank on the long-term upside of Bowers. But most teams, you probably prefer Rome. Okay. Limited exploration. Trading A.J. Brown for Derrick Henry. Is this a dynasty or is it this is actually just a redraft? So assuming that this is a redraft format, yeah, I'd prefer Derrick Henry here quite easily. If it was a dynasty league, give me A.J. Brown. Okay. Now, Donovan with our next one. For the flex, T. Higgins or Jordan Mason. You go Jordan Mason. Like, I'm benching T. Higgins this week. I have no interest. I think you have an implied team total of like 19 points for the Bengals. Now, Brendan says, also, should I pick up Luther Burden off the waiver wire and drop Booty? I would say in general, I'd rather have Luther Burden than Booty. Quarterback, you go Caleb. Running back, Judkins. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown. And then in the flexes, we're going to go with the combo of Xavier Worthy. And then probably full PBR format. I'd rather... Actually, no, you go Kamani Vidal over T. Higgins. Now, Murda trading Hampton and Chase for Genty and Tyler Warren. Yeah, for me, I'd rather have Tyler Warren and Genty just because we have no idea when Hampton's coming back. And Tyler Warren looks like he could very easily be the tight end 1. Now, superb approach. I'm going to go Harold Fannin over Darren Waller with no David Njoku. Frag quarterback. Give me Drake May, Dak, super tough. I'm actually going to go Dak. The over-under of this game's like 52.5 points. You get Lamb back in. Sorry, it's even higher than that. It's like 54.5 points. Okay. Now, running back... I'd probably go Jordan Mason over Kamara, Chase Brown, tight end Hawk over Mason Taylor. And then in the flex, obviously, actually Rome or Nico's tough. I think we go Rome if DJ Moore doesn't play. You go Nico if DJ Moore does play. Okay. Now let's move this over. Now, superb approach trading London, the big Q, for JSN. I probably prefer London and Quinton Johnston. The only scenario in which I would do this deal is if it was a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex where the depth doesn't matter. Now, Giants Mez, wide receiver. I can't answer this question right now, my friend. This is a question to ask in 2 days. Tight end, I go Kincaid. Wide receiver, plan A is Evans. Plan B is Terry. For the flex, we would be planning on going with Vidal. But obviously, we have no certainty whatsoever that Evans and Terry are going to play. You may have to pivot over to like Jennings and Burden. And like, I can't even tell you Burden's the backup because we don't have DJ Moore's playing. DJ Stroh's trading Chase and Jordan Mason for Rice and JCM. Upgrade at running back, downgrade at wide receiver. For me, I think this is a fair deal. I think it's a personal preference type trade. Bitter Hornet for tight end between Harold Fannin and Mason Taylor is going to be Harold Fannin for me easily with no David Njoku. I know Mason Taylor has no Garrett Wilson in his offense, but ultimately what's very surprising is you actually do have the Cleveland Browns favored in this game. Okay. Now, let's see. Bitter Hornet trading Rashee Rice for St. Brown. Yeah, I mean, you're taking off any risk whatsoever that Rashee Rice plate if you're able to just pivot him to Abanra. Okay. Now, Bo with our next one. Here for the flex, we're looking at Michael Mayer with no Brock Bowers or Romeo Doubs. I would actually maybe consider Bam Knight. If you wanted to for sure go wide receiver, you would go Doubs, but Bam Knight for sure is in play here, my friend. At least I would say so. Now, Bitter Hornet says, who do I drop when Coker and Jones come off the IR? Looking at your wide receivers, if you were to drop somebody, it'd be Alec Manor. But in reality, like if Jalen Coker goes off the IR, I'd rather cut Jalen Coker. Like I don't want Jalen Coker on my team in comparison to what you have now. He's the wide receiver 2 for Bryce Young, right? So I would go ahead and I would say probably move on from Coker. And then your next drop would be either Alec Manor or Luther Burden for Aaron Jones, dependent on what the status is of DJ Moore. Obviously, Ridley's injured, so Alec's interesting. So I'd rather have him over Coker. Now, Bodie, always excited to see you. I know I still can't pronounce your name. Hopefully I did it correctly. We're trading Higgins and Dowdle for Judkins. Kendrick Bourne's almost a 0 for me. Barely worth the roster spot. Leftover receiver, we'd have St. Brown, JSN, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. So you have plenty of wide receiver production. I'm fine doing this if you think that Chuba Hubbard comes in, splits this backfield, and makes it look like Seattle. Now, Trump Train trading London Ladd for Jacobs and Olave. I would rather have Jacobs over London. Olave Ladd, I think, is a personal preference. So, yeah, I would go ahead and do it. Now, Chris Kyle for the flex. I would probably play Xavier Worthy over Kamani Vidal. We're going to have to look at what the projections look like, obviously, with Rashee Rice coming back in. I'm making the flex rankings on Friday. Vidal clearly looks like the starting running back for Los Angeles, but there have also been so many damn rumors about them looking for another running back. Now, Dexter trading Nico for Scat. I have Scat, and I would trade him for Nico in a heartbeat. I'd way rather have Nico. Mountain Golf trading Travis Hunter, Chase Brown for Vidal and Wan'Dale Robinson. I think this is a personal preference type deal. Maybe it's me maybe it's me buying too much into name value, but I honestly think I may just go ahead and hold on to the Chase Brown end of things. Now, Max trading Pacheco and Xavier Worthy for Jalen Warren and Josh Downs. Okay. So Pacheco to Warren up. I mean, let's go Worthy to Downs is in concussion protocol. Running back, we have Barkley and then like Sharps. This is a tough trade. Downs is pretty close to not startable, but neither is Pacheco. It's a 14-team league, so the depth's going to matter. We have the Hampton injury. We have Lamb coming back in, so we don't necessarily need the wide receiver production. I am okay with you doing this. I just don't know if Downs is the guy that I want. Okay, Cade edits. Trading Chase for Cam Scatterbo and Stephon Diggs. Running back, we have nobody. Our running back room's garbage. So here's the answer to your question. You need to trade away Jamar Chase, but you need more in return. Like, I have myself, Cam Scatterbo and Stephon Diggs. But I would trade him for in a heartbeat for Jamar Chase. But at the same time, you very much are in a position where you need a running back. So I understand you trying to make a move like this. Now, Max trading Pacheco, Worthy, and Lamb for Jacobs, Shakir, and Kittle. Lamb to Jacobs, call it a lateral move. Worthy to Kittle, give me Kittle. Pacheco to Shakir, give me Shakir. Honestly, I may opt to go with the Jacobs side, depending on the health of Kittle. You are getting at the very minimum one extra game from Jacobs than you're going to get from CeeDee Lamb. Okay, JC trading Etienne, Kyron, Sutton for Lamar, Hampton, Nico, and Bowers. Okay. Sutton to Bowers, give me back. Like, Kyron to Nico, up to you. Sutton to Bowers, give me Bowers. Etienne to Lamar, give me Lamar. I probably want the Lamar and Bowers side as long as you have a winning record and you can afford to think for the long-term upside. Now, Spencer, for the flex, I understand you looking at a tight end here. And you say it's a premium format. Yeah, I think you go ahead and you play Tucker Kraft. We don't know if Kittle's going to play or not, though. We'll see. Now, T-Ben's trading Bucky, Vidal, Evans for Henry, Pearsall, and Brian Thomas. Bucky to Henry, lateral move depending on your record. If I had a winning team, I'd want Bucky. If I had a losing team, I'd want Henry. Evans to Brian Thomas, give me Brian Thomas. Vidal to Pearsall, give me Pearsall. Probably go to the Derrick Henry side here. King Cause trading Travis Hunter for Jacoby Myers. I'd rather have Myers and hope that he gets dealt to a better team. Like, Jacoby gets dealt to New England, all of a sudden you're actually really excited. Now, Ja Rule says 2-4 most points scored. Will this benefit me? Yes, you upgraded 3 spots. Vidal to Breece Hall, massive upgrade. Wandale to Quinton Johnston, massive upgrade. Dallas Goedert to Trey McBride, massive upgrade. Do it. Shining Gazebo trading Kyron Swift, St. Brown, Nico for Taylor, Achane, Jefferson. Kyron to Taylor, upgrade. St. Brown to Achane, upgrade. Nico to Jefferson, upgrade. We pay DeAndre Swift to get it done, 100%. You upgrade the 3 spots. Now, Kaka Zeus trading Dowdle, Rashad White for Derrick Henry. Yeah, I would rather have Derrick Henry. I mean, you have Chuba Hubbard back now. I think it's going to kind of turn into a running back by committee. And Bucky's not going to be out the rest of the season. Okay. But I think we had 300 likes in the stream, so I think it's time for me to send out some more free questions in the chat. Just let me double check. But yes, we had 300 likes in the stream, so let's send out some free messages. some free questions. All you got to do is drop a like on the live stream to enter to win a free question, and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat in case you win. I know who to send it over to. And also, of course, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you could always do so by taking advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy. Or if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you are going to be getting a 100% deposit you are going to be getting $100 added into your account after you play your first 5. You'll also get a free Jaylen Warren gimme pick. And Underdog Fantasy at the very top of the App Store at the moment because 1, they have an incredible app. 2, the promos are ridiculous. And 3, they're available in almost every state. Use code FLOCK. You'll get all of those promos. Plus, you'll get guaranteed free questions that you can ask me in these live streams. And you can see that we just answer a ton of free questions here. But let me see if I can find Nate Screebs to send over free question to. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream, my friend. Okay. Nate Screebs. Just found you. Just sent you over a free trade question. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream. And let's send this other one out to Dark Wheat. Okay. Just sent you over that free trade question. Really appreciate you. Okay. And now Bitter Hornet, between Cam Scatterbo, Breece Hall, I do think that it's going to be a personal preference type deal. I would rather have Breece if you think he gets traded. If you think that he stays with the Jets, I'd rather have Scatterbo. Because Scat is getting more involvement as a receiver. Now, Bear Maulings with our next question. Says 6-0 versus 1-5. Win to go up 2 games on everyone. We're probably playing Breece and Dowdle. Wide receiver London, St. Brown, Debo. Flex, we're going to go Evans if he plays. Jaylen Warren's the backup. So the thing is, because you don't have the clarity, you may end up getting stuck having to play. You may end up just having to play Jaylen Warren, to be honest. Because Jaylen Warren plays tomorrow, and we may not have the clarity with Mike Evans when we need it. So if they tell us tomorrow Mike Evans is going to play, you play Mike Evans. If not, you just play it safe with Jaylen Warren. Now, Jordan says, guy said it gives my team high upside for the playoffs. Okay. And real quick, Mr. says, do free vouchers ever expire? Can I save them for as long as I want because my team is looking fine right now and I want to use them later? I think the only time they'll expire is when we roll the site over from the 2025 season to the 2026 season. So no, like if you win a free question in a live stream, you can save it for until, if you don't have a question you want to ask until week 12, you can save it to week 12 if you want. Okay. Says, guy said it gives my team high upside for the playoffs. Give me London over Chase. Give me James Cook over Hampton. Give me Ja'Cory Cross-Gamard over Kamani Vidal. So I don't know what they're selling you, but you would 100% lose this deal. You want London, James Cook, and Ja'Cory Cross-Gamard here easily. Okay. Now, Royal, I'm assuming you only need one flex. I could be wrong. But if you need one flex between Vidal, Walker, Pearsall, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashee Rice, Quinton Johnston, Kendrick Bourne, you are very easily going to go Rashee Rice. If you needed a second flex, you would go ahead and you would take Quinton Johnston. Now, Scattered Dice says, do I chance Kittle this week? No. If you have Tyler Warren, you play Tyler Warren. Don't overthink it. Mayvium says, Worthy and T. Higgins on the waiver wire. Thankfully sat Breece last week. Do I do it again? So we have Kyron Barkley that we can auto start at running back. Wide receiver, I would cut Wan'Dale Robinson for Xavier Worthy myself. You're going to play DK Metcalf. And then I think in the flex, you could probably go ahead and play Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, considering how good of a matchup it is against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Now, Sego Bands, quarterback between Stroud and Bo Nix. Give me Bo Nix. Running back, we go Bijan Taylor. Wide receiver, we're going to take the combo of London Evans if he plays. Tight end, we go Tyler Warren. Flexes will be Jordan Addison, George Kittle. If Evans doesn't play, replace him with Matthew Golden. If Kittle doesn't play, if Evans doesn't play, replace him with J-Mo. And if Kittle doesn't play, replace him with Golden. Okay. Now, Imloon Stein Jr. Here for the flex. I think you probably play Bam Knight. If you felt very confident with Sterling Shepard, I mean, you can go in that direction. Don't get me wrong. It would just be tough for me to know that's the direction we want to go. I could tell you to go Sterling Shepard, and then it may end up being Tez Johnson. That's the guy. So again, I wouldn't fault you at all if you decided to play Shepard. I just think it's very tough to figure out what the target distribution is going to be there in Tampa. Now, Real W Cheese trading Judkins and Lamb for CMC. Leftover receiver will have Rome, Brian Thomas, Worthy. So yeah, I would go give him the best player in football. I'm sorry, the best player in fantasy football, that is. Obviously. Very, very big difference. Like, CMC hasn't even looked that good in real life. Thing is, he's just averaging 10 targets a game. And, I may need to log out and log back in to keep this going. So give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We can swing this back over. Okay, Real W Cheese. Yeah, like I said, I think your league is shallow enough where you can justify going through and making that trade for CMC. Now, Corey trading Vidal, Hampton, Rome for Gibbs and Shakir. If I had a losing record, I'd probably want the Gibbs side. If I had a winning record, I could very easily be talked into the Rome and Hampton end of it. Because obviously, if you're sitting at 5-1, you can start thinking about the playoffs. Now, Lone Wolf trading Bijan for 2 future first and Marv. If you are a rebuilding team, this is a very fair price point. Also, if you were a contending team, I'd want the Bijan side here. So, rebuilder, give me the first. Contending, give me Bijan. Now, Zarts Farts trading Jacobs, Debo for Rice and St. Brown. Jacobs to St. Brown, lateral move. Debo to Rice, massive upgrade. So, as long as you have the running back depth, yes, go ahead. And the winner of that trade value-wise is St. Brown. Isaac trading Jalen Hurts for Josh Allen, Judkins for Barkley, A.J. Brown for Metcalf. So in my mind, we're upgrading 3 spots and we're just paying Lad McConkey to get it done. So I'd very, very easily want the Josh Allen side. Brandon says traded Roman Waller for Lamb today. Who's the flex? Good deal. Good deal. Especially if you have Kittle. And we play we traded Rome and Waller for Lamb. So this is going to be Lamb right here. And then we're going to end up flexing probably Woody Marks. Don't like the matchup, but I mean, what's the alternative? Julian trading Kittle for JCM and Hunter Henry. Running back, we have Bam Knight, Cam Scadaboo, and that's it. So it's a fair deal to go and get an RB, and you need one desperately. I'll say, like, my team where I have a bunch of production at running back, I would probably opt to go Kittle there, but obviously your team needs help at RB. So it's a fair trade. Brandon. A wide receiver. We don't know if Terry's playing. We don't know if Marv's playing. I don't. Tight end, Bowers won't play, so you play TJ Hawkinson. And then for the flexes, like, here's the thing. Plan A, I mean, is you go like, oh, Marv, Xavier Worthy, and then Terry McLaurin. But if we don't know if Marv's going to play, we don't know if Terry McLaurin's going to play, backup would be Devonta Smith. Then your second backup would probably be Ramondre Stevenson. So it's just way too early to know who's going to be in, who's going to be out in your lineup this week. Now, Isaac trading Henry, Pacheco, A.J. Brown for Achane and Jefferson. This is Achane and Jefferson and is not even remotely close. T-Dog trading Adams and McBride for Dowdle, London, and Kraft. Adams to London upgrade. Or McBride to Kraft downgrade. Dowdle to bridge the gap. A running back, we have Swift, Rashad White, Aaron Jones, Bucky Irving. So here's the thing. Your team's weak enough at the skill positions. I think you can justify the downgrade here at tight end. It's not the easiest call in the world. Like, I don't love this trade, but you need the running back enough where I think you can do it. And you could use the upgrade at wide receiver. And yeah, we'll get to team reviews tonight as well. I just wanted to make sure that since it's late, we get to all the trade questions first in case anybody had to make a trade before they went to bed. Now, Close Wasabi trading Rice for Kyron and Terry McLaurin. I would rather have Kyron and Terry here. Bain says, should I be looking to move off Dowdle? Who else would you recommend looking at? For me, like, wide receiver, your team's not great at receiver. We lost Neighbors. We lost Puka. So we have like Sutton and Matthew Golden as our wide receiver too. So this seems like a very reasonable range. I mean, if you wanted to go to the rankings and look at any wide receiver inside the top 20, I think that they would all be in play if you were trading away Rico Dowdle here. Now, MK7 Scar says, I'm hurting at RB. I feel good about wide receiver depth. Let me know. Okay. London versus George Pickens. I don't see why it matters that you're hurting at running back if we're trading one wide receiver for another wide receiver. I'll say for sure with George Pickens having CeeDee Lamb come back to his offense, I'd way rather have Drake London, especially knowing that Pickens has the week 10 bye and Drake London's already gone through his own bye week. So yeah, give me Drake London here, but I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing something. I don't understand what you're meaning by you're hurting at running back. Now, X Vargas trading Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason for Chuba Hubbard. I don't see how Chuba Hubbard comes back to the same job he once had, so I would rather have the Vikings RBs. Bitter Hornet trading Dowdle, Chase Brown, Tet for Nico Collins. Running back, we'd have Bijan, Scat, and Woody Marks. I think you're probably giving up one too many running backs. I'd probably hold on to Ted and Rico. Bitter Hornet trading Scat and Rashee Rice for Puka Nacua. You have enough running back production that if you have a winning record, I'm okay with you making this move. Now, Mr. Roberto trading Judkins, Dowdle, Rice for JCM, Barkley, Rome. Rice to Rome, lateral move. Judkins to Barkley, upgrade. Dowdle to JCM, lateral move. So, yeah, I'd take Saquon Barkley here. I think he's the best player in the deal. Now, Kwasilu trading Judkins, Puka, Nico, Kraft for McBride, Rice, and Henry. Okay. Nico to McBride, lateral move. Puka to Henry, up to you. Dowdle and Kraft versus Rice. I think I'm going to take the Henry, Rice, and McBride side of this. Yeah, for sure we're going with that end. Especially with the Puka injury. Now, Espinch trading Jefferson for CeeDee Lamb. I have CeeDee Lamb ahead of Justin Jefferson in my rest of season ranks. I will say, you do get the extra game out of Jefferson since he's through his bye, though. Now, Matty I says, who to start? Waiver wire might be a better option. Quarterback, I'd go Fields over Stafford. Running back, Swift. Etienne, probably. Wide receiver, we have no Puka. Terry's plan A. I mean, obviously, Puka's plan A. Terry's plan B. Luther Burden, if DJ Moore doesn't play, is plan C, and Kayshon Boutte is plan D. And then you play Dowdle in the flex. Like a good neighbors. Quarterback between Caleb and Goff. If 4-point passing touchdown format, give me Caleb. Wide receiver, we're going to take the combo of Pittman with Downs and concussion protocol. Mike Evans is plan B. Xavier Worthy's Evans plan A. Worthy's plan B. Harold Fannin at tight end with no David Njoku. And then Worthy. But then I guess our backup plan is Higgins, of course, if you don't have Evans. And maybe you just play Higgins over Evans tomorrow night if we don't get clarity with Mike Evans by the time we need it. But it does look like we just hit 400 likes on the stream. So let me go ahead and let me send out some free questions in the chat. Again, stupid simple to get free questions or to qualify to win them. All you got to do is drop a like on the live stream and then also put your flockfantasy.com username in the live chats. If you win, I need to know how to send them to you. And then also, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you could always take advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy. Or if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you're going to get $100 added into your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get a free Jalen Warren pick, higher or lower half a total yard. And with that, you'll get the free questions for these live streams. Underdog Fantasy is at the very top of the App Store among all sports apps at the moment because 1, they have an incredible app. 2, they're available in almost every state. And 3, these are pretty much the best promos you could possibly find. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and look at this. Let's send this over to T-Bone. Let me see if I can find you on the site, my friend. T-Bone 236. Just found you. Just sent you over that free trade question. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. And let's send one over to somebody else as well. Let's send this to Come CD's Injuries. Come CD's Injuries. Just found you and just sent you over that free trade question. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Okay, so RJab's trading Rice and Wandell for CeeDee Lamb. I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb here quite easily. Now, Sleeper Agent trading Swift and London for Gibbs. You have Rome, Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. So, yeah, you can afford making this move. I wouldn't say it with everybody, but your team's just absolutely loaded. Now, Peck Birdman, running back. Give me probably ETN. Wide receiver, I'm assuming Puka misses, so you go Addison. And then in the flex, we're going to take Scat. Scat's in a tough matchup this week, though. Keeley trading Pearsall and Ellick for Amari and Hampton. If you have a winning record, honestly, kind of regardless, I would make this trade for Hampton. Pete says, Mason, do you actually have Jacobs over Puka in your rankings, or is that content for the Flock League? Zach offered me Puka and Bo Nix for Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, and DK Metcalf. My response was, I'm interested, but a warning, I have Jacobs and Puka essentially back-to-back in my rest of season rankings. AKA, your offer's way off. And his response, I'll just read this word for word. So I said, let's see. 1, if you win this week. 2, what's the status for him? Also, just a warning, I now have Jacobs and Puka back-to-back in my rest of season rankings. With Jacobs through his bye, I'm assuming I'm getting him for an extra 3-ish games in comparison to Puka. He says, well, if you have Puka and Jacobs back-to-back, then I doubt we get a deal done. I'll hold on to Puka, just make sure I have a great team for the toilet bowl at that point. The offer I sent through is more than fair and basically gives you the chip, so I wouldn't be willing to accept less than that. Which his offer was Josh Allen, DK Metcalf, and Josh Jacobs for Puka Nacua and Bo Nix. So he said he wouldn't go lower, so I said, okay, see you on your way, my friend. Now, Everest here, quarterback, between Daniels and Caleb, you go Jaden Daniels easily. And then for the flex, I'll go with Bill Krosky-Merritt. It's a really good matchup that you have against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, CeCe Wilkins here for the flex. You have no Puka. You have no Carter. You have no Benson. You have Michael Carter, Trevion Henderson, Sterling Shepard. I am an idiot, so I will play Trevion Henderson, but I would not fault you at all if you wanted to go ahead and if you wanted to play Michael Carter or Sterling Shepard. Now, Big Boy Hunted trading Rice and Pollard for Bucky. I'd rather have Rice over Bucky at this point. Like, I doubt we get Bucky back until week 10. He has the bye week in week 9. He's already been ruled out for week 7. But yeah. Matt says, didn't he comment that it was his opening offer and he was willing to negotiate down? That's what he commented, but he said that after he had already made a deal. I'm telling you what he told me through DM. So what his public statements are, frankly, are a lie in comparison to what he told me. Marine says, looking to trade away from the Chargers receivers. Is this a decent trade? Who else can I shoot for? I have no idea why we're going for T. Higgins. Like, sure, I mean, if you want to. The thing is, like, if you trade away Keenan Allen, you're not going to get a ton. Keenan Allen hasn't had, like... I think if you're trading Keenan, if you're trading away one of these depth wide receivers, you just got to package him with somebody else to get somebody that's in a tier that you can actually be excited about. Like, you're trading a depth wide receiver that has no guarantee for another depth wide receiver with no guarantee. I don't really know what we are accomplishing. So, like, you can do this deal, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if this is something that we're super excited about. Okay. Now, this one's from Park Tag. Here, Jalen Warren versus Stephon Diggs. I'm starting Stephon Diggs this week. I'm not excited about it at all. I would way rather play Jalen Warren in a really good matchup against Cincy. Flawed Asset says, love the content, Mason. I'm 2-4 and don't know if I should take the risk on Trev and Pickens with Lamb. I would rather have Pickens over... Yeah, in my opinion, you take George Pickens and Trevion Henderson here easily. Like, again, we have George Pickens wide receiver 11, but if CeeDee Lamb wasn't going to come back at all this season, George Pickens would be like wide receiver 4 for us in our ranks. So, I think it's kind of an easy spot for you to go through and take George Pickens and Trevion Henderson. Now, Morpha trading Tet Judkins for Genty and Addison. So we're trading away the second and third best player for the first and fourth wide receiver left over. We would have Lamb, Ladd, London. So wide receiver is not that big of a deal for us. And in my mind, I think we would get a running back upgrade. I'm okay with you doing this. My hesitation would be like, man, if you wanted to make a trade like this, you're about to have Judkins go nuclear against Miami, and Ginty's about to have a super tough time against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't know if this is the week that you'd be wanting to make this swap. I'm not going to fault you for it, but you may want to wait 1 week. Okay. Now, McLovin, here at running back, you have ETN as the easy play in my mind. Wide receiver, you go Pittman, you're going to have no League Puka, you're going to have no Flowers. Tight end, give me Hawk over Hunter Henry. And then for the flex, we're going to go Rico Dowdle over Chuba Hubbard. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's not like we're super excited about either running back. I'm very concerned that what we are going to have with the Carolina backfield now is just the same thing as what we were dealing with the Seattle backfield. Where it's like both running backs are in, both running backs have a role, but they're just eating into each other where nobody is really exciting. Now, Z Leon, running back, I'll go Rachaad White with no Bucky. Wide receiver, you play Sutton, keep it simple. Tight end, you're going to go Kate Otten. Bowers won't play. And then here in the flex, full PPR format, I think you can just play Chris Olave. Okay. No. Let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from B. Evans. Trading JCM for A.J. Brown and Tyler Algier. For me, I would rather have A.J. Brown, but at the same time, we can sit here and we can look at what A.J. Brown's done through 6 weeks this year, and he's the wide receiver 40 in points per game. So I completely understand if you would rather just go ahead and hold on to Bill Krosky-Merritt. If you wanted to hold on to Bill, you do you. Now, our next question's from Sad Paintwork. For the flex, we have no Bucky, we have no Henry, we have no Puka. I would play Tedero McMillan over Kamani Vidal. Obviously, Vidal had a great workload last week, and we'll look at what the projections have. I understand that Tet has a bad matchup, but he's still averaging 8 targets a game, and he's still an incredibly talented player coming off his first game in his NFL career with multiple receiving touchdowns. Okay. Now, K. Pedigo. We have Gibbs, Johnston, Sutton versus James Cook and CeeDee Lamb. Gibbs to Cook, lateral move up to you. Quinton Johnston and Cortland Sutton versus CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb by a mile. So we're going to go ahead and we will take the James Cook and CeeDee Lamb side. Okay. Now, Evan Jevin is trading Henry and Higgins for Chuba, Montgomery, A.J. Brown. Oh my gosh. Okay. Derrick Henry's clearly the best player in this deal. Hubbard and Montgomery barely look startable. A.J. Brown barely looks... I mean, none of these players look startable at the moment. If you desperately needed depth, I understand you going through and you making a play for the extra running back. But like right now, you have sports books telling us that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be significantly better coming out of the bye with Lamar Jackson healthy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to... Like, how is Hubbard startable after the Dowdle emergence? If this is truly a 14-team format, which is what the league settings you inserted are saying, I would go with the Hubbard, Montgomery, A.J. Brown side. But if this was like a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I think I would just opt to go with the Derrick Henry side. Lamar is going to be playing after the bye week in week 8. If you're looking at spreads in that game, you actually already have the Baltimore Ravens as heavy favorites in week 8. Now, Mike here for the flex. Between Cam Scat and Brian Thomas, you go Scat. I'm starting him this week. I am worried about the matchup against Denver, though. The Giants project to be the lowest scoring offense on the week. South Florida Dog trading May and Bijan for Taylor and Mahomes. Bijan to Taylor, downgrade. Bijan's already through his bye. You're going to get the extra game. Drake Mays looked phenomenal from a real life perspective, averaging 20.65 fantasy points per game as well. If you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, though, he's the QB1, averaging about 24.5. So I think this is a fair deal, and it's going to come down to your personal preference. But again, like if you look at what you've had with Bijan Robinson in a full PPR format, the workload is just insane. Okay. That guy says Judkins St. Brown for Kyron Jefferson. St. Brown versus Jefferson, lateral move up to you. You're going to have St. Brown in a better offense. You're going to get an extra game out of Jefferson. Kyron versus Quinton. I think I would rather have Kyron, and I don't think it's that close. Now, dark unit, running back. We're going to go Jacobs, Brees. Wide receiver, Lamb, Adams. For the flex, you're probably playing Kendrick Bourne back-to-back games with 142 receiving yards. Tight end, Kate Otten if Mike Evans doesn't play. And then in the flex, you go with Vidal. Now, it does look like we just hit 500 likes on the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. Again, to get those free questions, stupid simple. All you got to do is go down there, drop a like on this live stream to enter, and then you could drop your flockfantasy.com username in the live chats. That way, if you win, I know who we can go ahead and send those questions over to. And then also, of course, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you could always take advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you will get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get a free Jalen Warren pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for the game tomorrow night. And yeah, you'll get free questions for these live streams as well. The link's in the description, live chat, Underdog Fantasy available in almost every single state. Let's see if we can find Rankus out here to send a free question to. Okay. Rankus cannot find you. I don't know if that's your username or your name on flockfantasy.com, but if it's your name on flockfantasy.com, add code FLOCK to the account page. That way I can actually find you on my users page. I'd say for the same thing for HK. I can't find you either. Let me see if we can find Toddway. Todd Way, just found you, my friend. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. And just sent you over a free trade question. Now, this is from Savecchio, trading Tet for Swift and Pearsall. How bad do you need the running back? We have Taylor, the Hampton injury, so we don't have a running back too. So if you need a running back too, I understand this deal. Now, Himothy says, just made this trade. Are we chilling? We just sent Barkley for Rice, in my opinion, slight downgrade. Scat for Flowers, downgrade, and we got Marvis. In my mind, I'd rather have Barkley and Scat. Maybe I'm biased because I have Saquon Barkley and Cam Skattebo on my own team, but seems like it'd be tough for me to be willing to go through and make this move. But could be wrong here. Okay. Now, Merck with the next trade question says, am I crazy for considering a Pickens trade as a Lamb owner? Not at the right price. Wide receivers are Lamb, Wilson, and Rome. I'm 2-4, 8 out of 12 make the playoffs. Thank you. So here's what I would be thinking if I was 2-4. Even if 8 out of 12 make the playoffs, obviously you're in a much better setup in that scenario. But you're still really needing to prioritize the regular season production. And because now you have the DJ Moore injury, and at the same time, like Rome Odunse's already gone through his bye as well, I would probably opt to take the Rome side of this. I understand the thought process, but you get the extra game. DJ Moore is injured. CeeDee Lamb's back. It's completely fine, and it would be I could see the Pickens side being the winning end of this, but I'd probably rather have Rome. Now, Will is trading Henderson, Brian Thomas, Marr for Etienne, Spears, and Olave. Brian Thomas to Olave downgrade, Henderson to Etienne upgrade, Marv to Spears. We're trading Marv away for nothing. Right now at running back, we have James Cook, and then really nobody else to be excited about. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Our wide receiver room's decent. So I am okay with you deciding to go through and you deciding to make this deal because you really need some help at running back. But you are giving a lot. I mean, I would really like to keep Marv here if we could. Now, Gripping Fun trading CMC for Barkley and Rome. This is an 8-team league. So in an 8-team league, I would hold on to CMC here. Full show. 8-team league is just all about making sure you have the best asset in the deal. Now, SJD, man, I'm going to go Purdy over Darnold if he plays. Running back, Dowdle over Henderson. Tight end, Bowers won't play, so you're playing Darren Waller. Flex, Puka's not going to play. Bowers won't play. I'd play Keenan over Henderson. Germ trading Judkins, Olave, Bowers for Rice and Kittle. Judkins to Rice, give me Rice. Bowers to Kittle, lateral move, depending on your team. We're paying Olave to get it done. Leftover running back, we'd have Jacobs, Cam Skattebo, J.K. Dobbins. So you have plenty of running back depth, so I'm okay if you make this move. I am okay with it. Fine, sir. Now, Bryce Ditto, quarterback. If Kyler plays, I'd probably play Kyler over Lawrence. Actually, no, you have a really tough matchup. I don't know who ought to play your quarterback. Neither are exciting. Wide receiver, Bryant Thomas. Tight end, you're going to play Jake Ferg. And then for the flex, I know I say never to flex a tight end, but here I do think I would flex Sam Laporta. Okay. Now let's refresh this, see if we have any more questions here for us. It's coming out from Tunnels. It says, I'm 1-5. This is my last hope. At least we're realistic. Here, if we were to get somebody in from the bench to your starting, here's the thing, man. You're leaving this lineup as is, but if you're 1-5, I'm sorry to inform you this. You got to sell Puka Nacua to get somebody that you like more in the flex. Like, it sucks, but a 1-5 team, I think you got to do it. Owen trading Wilson and Marv for Brian Thomas and JMO. For me, like, Marv, Wilson may not be playing the next 3 weeks. Marv may not be playing the next 2. You have Waddle and Nico that you can play right now instead, and then you have a decent flex. So I'd probably go Garrett Wilson and Marv because it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where your team's good enough. Like, you have enough depth where you can get by. So looking at this, we're trading Tyler Warren for Patrick Mahomes and Brock Bowers. Yeah, I'd probably go ahead and do this if you had a winning record. Obviously, you're going to have to stream tight end in the short term. I don't think you get Bowers back until week 9 at the earliest. Pinch Manips. Here, you play Rachaad White with no Bucky Irving. And then, yeah, I think I would easily do that over Ja'Cory Cross-Camara. JCM has a phenomenal matchup, but Rachaad White's usage as a receiver or rusher, it's just so consistent with no Bucky. Rat Reaper running back will play. Dear God. Let me pull up my rankings. I literally have no idea who we have ranked higher. Right now, I have Woody Marks as our running back 30. Michael Carter as our running back 37. And Tony Pollard as our running back 33. So I have Marks as the play, but I mean, the matchup is so damn tough. Wide receiver, you play Bryant Thomas, and then in the flex, Pearsall won't play, Godwin won't play, Puka won't play, so Ayuk won't play. So it's really Addison or JMO. I'd play Addison. Now, Nate Screeb's trading Jacobs and Adams for Judkins and CeeDee Lamb. I think this is a very fair deal, and it's going to be up to you. If I had a winning record, I'd probably go with the long-term upside of Judkins and Lamb. If I had a losing record, I'd probably just chilling with Jacobs and Devontae. So, fair deal. Up to you. Now, Chase, quarterback, we're going to go Jordan Love. A running back, you play Rachaad White. Wide receiver, we're going to go with the combo of Rashee Rice and Quinton Johnston. And then for the flex, you play Quinshon Judkins. Judkins, beautiful matchup against the Miami Dolphins, where you actually do have somehow, some way, the Cleveland Browns favored in this game. Now, Lido trading White Worthy for Tet. If you had a winning record, I would do this, but I'm assuming you have no Bucky the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, Rachaad White's going to crush. Okay. Now, 6-0 easy, trading Bijan Diggs for Puka and Nico. Oh, dear God. So I would say for most people right now, the side that you want is going to be the Bijan Robinson end of this. However, if you are really 6-0, then at that point, I completely understand you going through and you making this move for Puka. As obviously, we can say when Puka's fully healthy, him versus Bijan about equivalent. And then Diggs runs away. Nico runs away from Diggs. So if you are 6-0, I understand you going for it. Now, Trevder says, how about this one? Get out before Bucky returns. 100% I would do this. Yeah, I think go ahead and you can make that play for Henry. I know you were trying to sell your quarterback depth earlier. Okay. Now, Jacob trading Barkley, Myers, McBride for Bijan and Kelsey. Myers is almost nothing. Kelsey's almost nothing. It's Barkley and McBride versus Bijan. And as painful as this is for me to admit, as somebody who has Saquon Barkley on their team, Bijan Robinson's in a completely different tier. So yeah, I think you would go ahead. I think you would take Bijan Robinson. Now, Bank trading Tyler Warren and Trevion Henderson for Vidal and Pittman. Tyler Warren's in a completely different tier. You want Tyler Warren here. Only way you make this deal is if it's a league where you don't have to start a tight end. Okay. Now, Brandon says 4-2, looking to upgrade at wide receiver. Appreciate the help. So CMC to Achane, clear downgrade. We pick up Rashee Rice. How down bad are we at wide receiver? We have Worthy, Marv, DJ Moore, Terry, Lamb, Devonta Smith. This is a fair trade. Don't get me wrong. Because it looks like depth matters in your league and you're dealing with a multitude of injuries at wide receiver and we have, I think you can go ahead. I think you can make this play. But again, it is so tough for me to ever come through and tell somebody to trade away McCaffrey. Now, Rashee Rice trading Breeze for Igbuka. I would rather have Igbuka, but obviously if you're going to make this move, you would have to have a winning record. Johnny Mouse says he wants Igbuka for Henry, but if I get Addison too. Yeah, if you get Henry and Addison, I think I'd go ahead and do this. Like, again, with the timeline that I think you should expect for Igbuka is the Bucs have the week 9 bye. So I'm assuming we do not get Igbuka back until week 10 at the earliest. For me, selfishly, I got to play the Igbuka team week 10, so I'm kind of hoping he misses until week 11, but that's just my selfish hopes. Let me refresh this. So we just had a bunch of questions come in. Dark Wheat is trading Hampton, Nico for Henry in London. Is this a dynasty or is this a redraft? This is a redraft. I don't know why it's pulling in the dynasty rankings. If it's a redraft league, yeah, give me Derrick Henry and Drake London here easily. Give me London over Nico. And then give me Henry over Hampton in redraft. We got one of Domain's finest out here, David. Appreciate you stopping by. And you need to get your guys on the live stream grind. I know in the off season, every once in a while, they can hit a 5-hour stream, but yeah, we're here live streaming every single day until Christmas answering questions. You got to get them on the grind, David. Big shout out to David, and we'll see if he can get his guys switching to going daily. I believe in him. But D Curbs. On the bench currently, we have Travis Etienne. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I'd play Etienne over Olave with the trade rumors. And then here, if you really wanted to get Olave in, I mean, it is interesting, like, to look at the updated projections that you have a Dowdle versus Etienne. Like, there is a lot up in the air with Dowdle. I think we can safely say that Rico Dowdle is a higher ceiling than Travis Etienne at this point, but realistically, I'm worried it turns into Seattle, where they split the backfield 50-50, where neither guy is interesting in fantasy football now that Hubbard's back. David's going to get the Domain guys on it. You love to hear it. Now, let's move this over to Bank. Trading Hendo, Tyler Warren for Fields, Scat, Blake Corum. Warren to Cam Scat downgrade, Henderson to Justin Fields and Blake Corum downgrade. Yeah, man, I'd much prefer just holding on to Tyler Warren here, kind of regardless of your team. I think you're losing too much value. Now, Savecchio, quarterback, give me Jalen Hurts over Caleb. Running back, we're going to take Spears, I guess, if you have to start someone. Hope the coaching staff expands his role. We're going to go Adams, London, and Rome for wide receiver and the flex. It's pretty easy. But dear God, you go trade Tet for a running back. Joel C doesn't put the options that they had on the bench here for us to consider. So I'm going to send you over a free start sit so you can resubmit this, my friend. Okay. Now, not Will, a running back. We're going to go with Barkley and CMC pretty easily. I was going to say this is a crazy team, but this is an 8-team league. We go with Drake London, Rashee Rice at wide receiver. For the flex, this is where things get tough. Full PBR format, honestly, it may go Brian Thomas. Tight end, you go with Trey McBride. Then you got to hope that Brees ends up getting dealt to a better offense. Now, Clark Kev. Okay. So my team's finally fighting back. I'm thinking of trading one or packaging both of these players. Okay, so this is a dynasty league. So here's the thing, man. Both these are year 2 wide receivers that very easily could have the momentum to increase in value dramatically going into the offseason. So in my mind, obviously it's very different from a redraft to a dynasty perspective. But in dynasty, I think if you were trying I don't know. In a redraft league, yes, it makes a lot of sense. But in Dynasty, if we just go out 12 months from now, what is Jawan Jennings in San Francisco? Hollywood Brown will be literally nothing in Kansas City. These guys haven't moved the needle. Now you have Rashee Rice coming back in. You have Kittle coming back in. So here's my thing. I think if you were selling these 2 wide receivers right now, you are selling them from a dynasty perspective in particular, kind of at an all-time low point. So I think I would just hold on to them for now, to be honest. I wish I had more for you, but I really don't. If I was looking to sell a different player in dynasty right now, try to flip off AJ Brown. Okay. Now, Big Red trading Allen, Henderson, Quinton Johnston for Drake May and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would rather have St. Brown here, to be honest. As long as our running back room's fine. So, yeah, I'll make the play for St. Brown and Drake May. Pains me to say because we have Allen on our team. But Globes to the Dome says 5-1. I have Baker. I'm also in talks of an Adams Herbert for Rome. It's a 1 quarterback format. You would way rather have Rome over Adams and Herbert. But people hoard quarterbacks, so the waiver wire is rough at QB. Year 3 watching, I really appreciate you, my friend. So in general, looking at the deals that you have, the Tet Adams Herbert versus Nico Flowers, this deal's like fair. It's like, okay, I'd understand if you wanted to go either way in this. However, the other trade, if you were going to get Rome Odunze, for the combination of Davante Adams and Justin Herbert, you would much prefer that Rome deal. So I think you hold on to Herbert and you make that. If you wanted to flip to Nico, it's a fair trade. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you lose it, but I don't think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. I don't think it's like an easy win by any means. Now, Mother Flocka, quarterback, Darts projects to be in the lowest scoring offense in the league. I'm going to go Lawrence. I know everybody wants Dart, though. Wide receiver, Debo, beautiful matchup. Tight end, we're going to go Goddard. And then, I have Goddard, Hawkinson myself. I'm playing Goddard. And then for the flex, Evans plan A, Marv plan B, Chase Brown plan C. Now, Fatty trading Allen, Marks, Harrison, Keon for May, Roman, Rice. This is May, Roman, Rice. Actually, this is a Dynasty Superflex League. So, Dynasty Superflex League, this is tougher. Don't get me wrong. You still probably go May, Roman, Rice, but I'm going to be honest, I just ripped through 150 redraft trade questions. So my brain may be broken with that. But Drake May looks damn exciting in Dynasty Superflex Leagues as well. Okay. Now, Todd Way trading Debo and Bowers for Rice. This is a redraft league. Why the hell do these leagues just keep coming in as Dynasty? Right now we have Tyler Warren at tight end. So since you have Tyler Warren at tight end, you prefer Rashee Rice. I think in terms of straight value, it may not be that easy. Now, Mr. Filthy Wubs trading Hendo, George Pickens for Jamar. Leftover running back, we'd have Warren and Ashton Genty, and that's it. So here's the thing, I think in a vacuum for most teams, you prefer Jamar Chase here. I don't know if you're in a position to be selling at running back, though. Your running back room is bad. So, again, I think the Jamar side wins that deal. But realistically, if Henderson turns out to be a weekly start in the second half of the year, that could be somebody that you could really use. Here, I play Rachaad White over Vidal, Brees, and Warren. And then for the flex, I'm going to play Jalen Waddle with no Tyreek in a full PPR format. Okay. Now, let's pull up the team reviews. I'm sorry if you've been waiting for a team review. I just wanted to make sure that we could go through and we could take a look at everything here. Now, let's swing this over. This is going to be from No Grit, No Glory. Says any trade or waiver wire suggestions. After a slow start, I feel like I should be good for the second half of the season, but I wonder if I could be better. Okay. We are What Up, Doe, the number one team in the League Analyzer in terms of value. We are 4-2, so I have no idea what the hell you're talking about in terms of a slow start. We're fourth in this league in terms of points scored. It's a 14-team league. Despite it being a 14-team league, you actually have decent options available to you on the waiver wire. It's a start 8 format, so wide receiver depth matters, and you have an incredible team here. Right now, our starting lineup consists of Gibbs, Jalen Warren at running back. Wide receiver, we have London, Rice, Tet, J-Mo. We have Mahomes in at quarterback, McBride in at tight end. This is an incredible team. I will say the only thing that I want to be doing on this team right now is twofold. We're going to make some waiver wire pivots, and then we're going to move over, and we are just going to wait for Bucky Irving to come back healthy, and you already have by far and away the best team in this league. So the first thing that we would do is go ahead, cut AJ Barner, and instead pick up Kyle Pitts. I think I'm pretty confident in saying that as well. Now, also, if we are looking at Jalen Coker, I don't exactly know what the true upside of Coker is. Because realistically, you're the wide receiver 2 at the very best for Bryce Young? Like, if people aren't that excited about Teteroa McMillan, what's the upside for Coker? Which 14-team league, don't get me wrong. I mean, I completely understand having a player like this on the bottom end of your bench, but you have Chris Godwin and Aaron Jones on the waiver wire. So I would cut Coker. I would pick up your call between Godwin or Aaron Jones. Up to you. And then, yeah, I would just cut AJ Barner. I'd pick up Kyle Pitts, and then we're going to wait for Bucky Irvin to come back. But you have, according to the league analyzer, already the best team in this league. And just those simple waiver wire moves, I think, are going to make it where you have by far and away the best team where nobody can come close to you. So I really appreciate you. I wish I had more for you, but I just think you have an incredible squad. I don't want to mess it up with the trade here. It's kind of like, honestly, the initial offer that, I'm sorry, like my team is 5-1, right? And it looks like we're going to be 7-1 over the next 2 weeks. We're heavily favorites. So it's like, I'm kind of in a spot where I don't want to make a trade with my team. I think you should almost kind of be in the same boat. Like, you have the best team in your league. You're 4-2. Just make the waiver wire pivots. But I sent you over free questions in case there's anything you want to follow up with. Pete says, Mason, what was your offer for Puka in the Flock League? I did not try trading for Puka. Zach offered me Puka and Bo Nix, and what he wanted back was Josh Jacobs, Josh Allen, and DK Metcalf. I said I had Puka and Josh Jacobs back-to-back in my rankings, so we were not close. And he said, okay, well, I'm not going to go for less than that. I would rather hold on to Puka and have a good team in the toilet bowl. And I said, okay, sounds good. And that was the end of that. Pete says, but why wouldn't you send a counter still? That may be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. If I go through and if I offer you Kamani Vidal for Bijan Robinson, should you send me a counter in return? No. If you get a fake offer, you do not need to send somebody a counter. If it's your first time ever playing fantasy football, I know when you get offered Kamani Vidal for Bijan Robinson, maybe you think like, oh, okay, I should counter this back. But if the starting point is so far from being remotely close, I don't see what the point is. Yeah. And countering something that is not even in the same ballpark. Okay. Now, TFSE Rob says 3-3, 3 straight dubs. Let's keep it rolling. Any advice is appreciated. By the way, was offered Cup, Pitts, Pacheco for Mason and Hollywood. Thanks as always, Mason, for the great advice and work. Keep going. Really appreciate you, my friend, and always excited to check out your teams. Let me make sure that you have free questions here regardless. Okay. Now, we are Team Mamba number 1. We are currently 6th in this league in terms of points scored. We are 4th in this league in terms of value. We are 3-3, and this is a 14-team league, so the depth's going to matter a bit more here. Now, looking at what we have at quarterback, we have Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray. So obviously not the best spot, especially with the Puka injury and especially with the Kyler injury. If we were looking at options on the waiver wire, since it's a 14-team format, the only guys that are even out there are Geno Smith and Spencer Rattler. Like, there's nobody to pick up. Going over to running back, we have Kyron Hampton. We're 3-3, right? So it's not like we're in the spot where we need to sell any injured players that we have. But it's also not like we're in a spot where we can only think about long-term upside. It's definitely a very balanced format. We have Jordan Mason, RJRV, Kamani Vidal. So we have Vidal to play in the short term over Abari Hampton. Love that we picked up the right running back. I thought Hampton would have been the guy. I thought Haskins would have been the guy. Clearly wrong. Going over to receiver, we have Chase, Tet, Egbuka, Addison, and then we have Hollywood Brown. Tight end, we have Britton Strange, Kate Otten. So here's the thing, man, and it sucks to say. So if you're offered Cup Pitts, and Pacheco for Mason and Hollywood. It's not a bad offer, to be honest. And a 14-team league, because Pitts hits our starting lineup. Let's see if we can counter that team here. Okay. Who has Pitts? I forgot. We can just use this. Kyle Pitts. Okay, this is the team with Kyle Pitts. I want to see if they have a viable quarterback. So, yeah, they really need a running back too. What I would ask them in return is if they would swap Adams and Tet. Or you could ask him if they would swap Matthew Stafford and Daniel Jones. Like if you could also upgrade from Stafford to Daniel Jones and that kind of deal. I think it's a clear win. But in terms of where your team sits, our starting lineup this week is Kyron, Vidal, Tet, Mason, and then Jordan Addison, right? If you just sit on your hands, in the long term, you'll get Puka back in. In the long term, you'll get Hampton back in. I think you just kind of want to sit on your hands unless you get a really good deal because you have a fine starting lineup for right now. If you were to make that Jordan Mason trade, again, how it impacts your starting lineup at the moment is you are able to get the upgraded Kyle Pitts at tight ends. You're effectively just downgrading from Jordan Mason to Isaiah Pacheco in your starting lineup at running back / flex. So again, if you were to make that deal, I like it under the context that we can also upgrade our quarterback position. But I think, honestly, you're 3-3. You can just kind of afford to wait for your players to come back healthy. But I wish I had something for you here. If you were like 2-4, I'd say, man, you really got to go out there. You got to sell like Puka or you got to sell Hampton, get somebody in your lineup right now as an upgrade. But because instead you're 3-3, I think you can afford to wait just a bit. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way. And yeah, like I said, you have a bunch of free questions in your account. So if there's anything else you ever want to ask me, I'll be super happy to take a look at it for you. Now let's look at this from Joey. He says, you carried me to third in 2022, second in 2023, and first last year. Hell yes, my guy. I was about to say, oh, if we didn't get first, it didn't matter, but we got first. As we enter the back half rest of season, there's a way to truly close out strong to get that championship. Can I hunker down if I'm 3-4? Hard to trade these pieces as they're meant for a championship matchup. Desperate for health, but loaded. What are your thoughts? So team name, Nacua Matata. We are the number one team in this league when it comes to value. We're 3-3. We've scored 816 points. So we're third in this league when it comes to points scored. So if anything, we're an unlucky 3-3. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Daniel Jones. Realistically, 10-team league, Daniel Jones, completely fine start right now. You're going to get Lamar back in week 8. I'm just going ahead here. Running back's the problem. So running back, we have Etienne, Brees, Henderson, Rachaad White. We have Rachaad White we can start in the short term, and we have Travis Etienne. Then we have the long-term upside, hoping Brees gets dealt, or hoping that Trevion Henderson takes over. Wide receiver, we have Puka in the long term. We have Rice back in now. So we have St. Brown, Rice, Adrian Brown, T. Higgins, and we have the elite tight end with Tyler Warren. So your team is the best team in the league, according to the league analyzer, for a reason, right? And a lot of these names, you just literally wait 1 week, they're going to be back in. Or 2 weeks in the case of Puka. So you get Puka back in week 9. You'll have Lamar back in week 9. And at that point, I think what you'll probably look to do is you'll try to send Rashee Rice or Amon-Ra St. Brown in a 2-for-1 deal with Breece Hall to go get a running back upgrade if Breece doesn't get sent from the Jets, or with Travis Etienne to get a running back upgrade if Etienne still looks like a running back 2 and we want to get a true wide receiver. I'm sorry, a true RB1. But in reality, you're 3-3. You're not desperate for wins right now. You can't afford to just kind of chill here as is. You have the elite tight end, the elite quarterback. We have a solid starting lineup for the time being. The team's going to get even better as it's healthier. Because you have the injuries right now, you don't have the luxury of being able to sell the depth to get an upgrade in the starting lineup right this second. You're just going to have to wait a little bit of time here. But eventually you should be able to make that kind of pivot. Again, it's just going to take a little bit of time for us to get Puka Nacua back in, for us to get Lamar Jackson back in. But I think it should happen by week 9. And then at that point, we can sell the depth wide receiver to go get a true RB1. But I think you have to probably wait just a bit until you can. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions. I'm sorry. I wish I had more for you. I just think that your team is absolutely loaded here, and I wouldn't really want to mess it up. And again, I know I said this earlier, but these teams that are really good, like I'd make an argument that my team is really good right now, 5-1. Bad be 6-1, but like you don't need to make a trade, especially if you're dealing with an injury. Like if you're dealing with injuries, you already have the best team in your league. Unless you have a losing record, most of the time it probably just makes sense for you to go ahead and for you to just wait for your players to come back healthy. So let me send you over those free questions in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. I'd be super happy to take a look at it for you, my friend. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. We got BWH. So say, Mason, I'm generally fine with my team, but I am still 2-4. I might have the opportunity to trade Barkley for Jefferson, but then I would need another trade to get a top tier running back again. So for me, I have a bunch of running backs on my team and not really much help at wide receiver. So realistically for me, I would probably prefer I think I would rather have Jefferson over Barkley, but that's just my end of things. Going over and looking at, we'll get to your team in 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm having to pull up the team name on the other monitor. But then I'd need to trade for another top tier running back in. I might need more depth in my starting lineup and get rid of some underperformers like Brown, Allen, etc. Okay. So this is a 10-team league. So options on the waiver wire should be decent, but it's a start 8 format. So you do need to prepare to start like 4 wide receivers here weekly. And now the team name is Legion of M's. So this is where we're at right now. We're 3rd in the league analyzer. We're 2-4. So we're in a position in which we're an unlucky 2-4. We're 6th in this league in points scored. But we're in a position where we should be looking to sell long-term upside for short-term production. We need to do what we can to win right now. So if we go ahead and if we look at the assets that we have on our team and try to find an option that we have that maybe gives you more long-term upside than short-term production, that's probably Puka and Brock Bowers. Those would be the 2 names that on a 2-4 roster, I'm looking to sell here. You don't necessarily need to sell them both because if we look at our starting lineup, we have Jalen Hurts at quarterback, really strong. Then we have Saquon Barkley, Cam Scatterboot, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at running back. And we have Jalen Warren, Chase Brown. So we have 5 startable RBs. Wide receiver, we have London Olave. We have Evans injured as well, but Evans about to come back. No point in selling Evans now. So what I would probably be looking to do is I think we upgrade wide receiver, but I don't know if the way that we upgrade wide receiver is by us going through and selling Saquon Barkley, our best running back. Like, you have plenty of running back depth, but I think we want to find a team that needs help with the depth and go through and make a deal with them. Like, let's see a team that may have a trouble. Actually, nobody's going to have trouble fielding a starting lineup. Nobody's going to trade for Jaylen Warren here. It's a 10-team league. But maybe instead the move that we make is we try to send a running back depth piece with Brock Bowers to go and get a tight end that we can start right now. Is there a world in which you can send like Jaylen Warren and Brock Bowers to get Trey McBride, to get Tyler Warren? Really, those would be the two upgrades that we could have at tight end. And realistically, if we look at how deep our running back room is, I mean, it's completely fine for us to go through and for us to make that kind of move. Like, it's not going to matter at all. So if you could send Jaylen Warren and Brock Bowers to go get an elite tight end, Chase Brown and Bowers get an elite tight ends. Hell, I mean, I would even go Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Brock Bowers if it's going to get you Trey McBride, if it's going to get you Tyler Warren, because you are sitting at 2-4. You need to win games right now. You have so much running back depth that Chase Brown's our running back 5. Zach Charbonnet's our running back 6. So selling one of those like RB3s doesn't matter for us the way that it would for another team. And then another play that you could make if you wanted would be selling one of these running back depth pieces for with Puka to go and try to get to a wide receiver like Nico Collins, right? Or if you could send Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Puka to go get Nico Collins on a 2-4 team where we're just going to get the starting lineup upgrade right now. That's the play that I would prefer to make here on a 2-4 roster. But I do think that this team honestly probably should be looking to make one of those moves. And then there are interesting players off waivers like Travis Hunter, but there's just simply nobody for you to cut. Like, your bench is too good. Now, Lido says, won my second week in a row to claw back to 2-4. CMC and White have carried. Wide receiver room has been a disappointment. Facing 2-4, that's my Michelle this week. Save me, Mason. Appreciate you, my friend. So, started off 0-4. If we are able to win this year, we will have an all-time story to tell. Now, looking at the setup, it's a 12-team start 8 format. We've scored 730 points, so we are currently 9th in points scored. We're much higher in terms of value on the roster. We're currently sitting at 5th. But still, 2-4 team, we are more so incentivized, sell the long-term upside, get short-term production in. So what I probably would have done 2 weeks ago if I were you is I probably would have sold Mike Evans just to make sure and guarantee that we didn't fall to 0-5. But yeah, I mean, we won without doing it, so we're in a good spot there. Quarterback, we have May. We're completely fine with May. Looking at the options on the waiver wire, they're very limited. Running back, we have CMC, Derrick Henry, Rachaad White. White's a great example of somebody that doesn't give you long-term upside, but you get short-term production with. So, I mean, he fits this team perfectly. We need him for the Derrick Henry buy as well. Looking at what we have at wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, Evans, Devonta Smith, Keenan. It's a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. You get the bump with Harold Fannin, given the David Njoku injury. The bump with Mason Taylor, given the Garrett Wilson injury. For me, I think the thing that can claw this team out from the bottom is you got to find the next Rachaad White. You got to find the next Rico Dowdle, right? Where if there were to be an injury in their starting lineup, then all of a sudden they turn into an absolute league winner. So what I would probably try to do is I would just optimize the bottom end of this bench for running backs that fit that mold. I think Byshell Tootin makes a lot of sense. Like, I would consider cutting Jalen Coker, who at best is the wide receiver 2 for Bryce Young. and picking up Byshell Tootin. And then in terms of trades, like again, if it wasn't for Mike Evans about to come back into this offense, I would have told you to sell Mike Evans on a losing team. But now that you're getting Mike Evans back in and everybody else in Tampa's injured, I'm actually wanting to hold on to Mike Evans. I think Derrick Henry is going to be much better coming out of the bye as well, given Lamar's health. So I think you're riding with this team as is. You don't really have too many of those assets that are the long-term pieces that we need to sell to get production for the short term. I would just try to find the next Rachaad White, which is a big reason we won the past 2 weeks. Try to find the next Rico Dowdle. So I'd probably cut Coker or cut Mason Taylor, pick up Byshell Tootin, pick up Tajay Spears, maybe cut both of those pass catchers. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But again, yeah, congrats on winning the last 2 weeks and really hoping that you can carry this over. I think your team's good. I don't really think you have to do much. Now, Kevin says, congrats on the engagement. Thank you. It's a great feeling to be engaged. 100% agree. Longtime listener of the show. I'm 4-2 and looking to make the run down the stretch. Any pro tips on what you'd want to do with this team? Now, we are Sapnu Paz. We are 4-2. We've scored 742 points. So we've scored the second most points in this league. And we have the second most value. So I'm going to just guess. Here's my guess based off looking at this bar chart, where there are only 2 teams that are really in this when it comes to value on this roster. I'm going to assume that this team is absolutely loaded. And the only thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to trade for the elite quarterback, trade for the elite tight end. Pulling this up, quarterback, we are currently rostering 3 of them. Not a fan. Looking at the options on the waiver wire, there are solid names like Brock Purdy. So for my opinion, what you need to do is you probably want to go ahead and cut one of the quarterbacks. Your call. I would personally probably go ahead and cut Bo Nix. Not because I want to pick up Brock Purdy, but instead I would want to pick up the elite handcuff like RJ Harvey, where if you were to get an injury to J.K. Dobbins, you potentially see RJ Harvey turn into like the next Dowdle or the next Rachaad White. Running back, we have Taylor, Genty, Judkins, Amari, and Hampton. So we have the long-term upside with Hampton. We have Dowdle as our running back 5. So here's the thing. If Dowdle's your RB5, if Davante Adams is your wide receiver 4, and you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, what you're going to need to do you're going to need to find a way to sell like Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams for Josh Allen. Davante Adams and Hunter Henry for Trey McBride. Quinton Johnston and Hunter Henry for Tyler Bourne. We could kind of tell this just based off the overall setup that you had with the bar chart, that you just have so much value at running back and wide receiver. And with your league settings, you can only get so many of these guys into your lineup. And because you can only start 2 receivers in a flex here, quarterback and tight end should make up a high percentage of your starting lineup output weekly, that I would really want to go get the elite quarterback. I'd really want to go get the elite tight ends. And I think the way that you do that is you just send one of the send one of the many running backs that you have in a package to go get that upgrade at quarterback, and send one of the many wide receivers you have in a package to go get that upgrade at tight ends. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But yeah, you have an insane team. The only thing to do with the team that is that good is make sure you have the best tight end room in the league and the best quarterback room in the league as well. Now let's look at this from Los Galos. Says, please help my team. Not looking good with Puka and Mike Evans both hurt. Currently 2-4. Was thinking of trading Puka for London and Sutton, but they said they would think about it. What moves should I make to reach the playoffs? Thank you for all the help. Thank you, my friend. We are currently sitting at 2-4. So if you just watch the newest Flock League video, you'll see that you just had Puka dealt for London and Jaden Daniels there. Which, I mean, on a 2-4 team, I am in 100% agreement. You want to sell Puka for that kind of value. We are sitting with the third spot in the league analyzer in terms of value. We are the second team in the league. I'm sorry, the second team in this league in terms of points scored. So you are the unluckiest 2-4 team that I have seen. So if we're going to be looking at this kind of squad, like, it sucks that you find yourself in this position, but still you do need to go through and find a way that you can just go ahead and get some short-term production by selling the long-term value. And the long-term value on a team like this really is just going to be tied up in Puka Nacua. Like, I would cut Ollie Gordon and pick up Travis Hunter. We just had the coaching staff come through and actually, honestly, just cut Tua and pick up Travis Hunter. If you wanted to hold the Devon Achane injury insurance with Ollie Gordon, cut Tua. You're never going to start him with a Tyreek injury. It looks like they're burning things down in Miami. You currently have the Miami Dolphins as dogs to the Cleveland Browns, according to sportsbooks this week. I don't see what the upside with Tua is at this point for him to ever get your starting lineup over Daniels. So cut Tua, pick up Travis Hunter. A running back, we have Achane, Judkins, Ramadre, quality players that we can play right now. Wide receiver, we have Waddle. You got to pray that Mike Evans is back this week. If he's not back this week, he's probably back next week. And then tight end, we have Darren Waller that we can play. Realistically, with David Njoku's injury, like, I mean, if you could sell Njoku for anything on a 2-4 team, you would. But realistically, this team's move is you cut Tua, you pick up Hunter, and then you go ahead and if possible, I mean, we would love trying to go through and trying to sell Puka in a similar deal. Well, like, yeah, if you can go and get London and Sutton, that makes a ton of sense. I would just be offering anybody with a top 6 wide receiver Puka Nacua and seeing if they're willing to give us a wide receiver like Nico Collins in a second piece. But I think that's all I have for you. Again, I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But again, great team. Absolutely sucks that you had the Puka injury, and I am 100% agreement. You have to sell Puka now. Now, K. Soliner, always happy to see you, my friend, says, people only want St. Brown and Ferg. I was interested in a Chase Brown in Hollywood for JK and Travis Hunter. I know I'm not that far from being out the top. Just had a rough start. I know my running back depth's hurting, but I flipped Higgins and Pollard for Rice and Corum, which, yeah, you 100% had to make that deal. I have Pollard and freaking Higgins, and I would love to trade them for somebody like Rashee Rice. But we are the second team in the league analyzer when it comes to value. We are the 4th team in this league when it comes to points scored. So this is another very unlucky 2-4 team. It's a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. So right now we have Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams at quarterback. So we have 2 viable QBs. Realistically, you could only sell Lamar. Nobody's going to be buying Caleb. But I don't want to sell Lamar right now because you're going to be selling at an all-time low point. He comes back next week. So realistically, I think you ride it out. And then I guess you hope that Caleb blows up this week during the Lamar bye and you can sell him out week. I mean, you can sell him next week. Running back, we have Brees, Chase Brown, and then nothing beyond this. If you could flip like Trey Benson in a depth piece, like Trey Benson and Brandon Ayuk to go get somebody like Jordan Mason, to go get somebody like Jalen Warren to go get somebody like J.K. Dobbins, 100% we would, just so we can have that player that's startable at running back here in the short term. Wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashee Rice, Tedero McMillan, Matthew Golden. So the thing is, it's a league in which you need to start like 4 wide receivers here, essentially. So if you go ahead and if you were to sell like Rashee Rice for a running back or Tedero McMillan for a running back, then all of a sudden you have a better running back room, but you're just weak at the flex instead. So you fill one hole by causing another. And then going over to tight end, we have Jake Ferguson and Theo Johnson. It's like, I'm fine if you wanted to roster Theo Johnson here. One thing that you could consider, let's see the tight ends available to us on the waiver wire. The tight ends aren't super strong on the waiver wire, so never mind. I was going to say, we could potentially try to sell Jake Ferg for a running back as well, but the thing is, you don't have replacement level tight ends that we'd be excited about. So I like your team as is. The last thing I would do is sell a wide receiver for an RB. If you could sell the long-term running back pieces like Benson with like a just name like Brandon Ayuk to go and get to one of those running backs that we mentioned that's not super exciting, but somebody that we can start, we would go for it. But I think that's about it. You should get Lamar coming back from the bye as well. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But reality is, I think your team's about to be really good now that you have Rashee Rice back in. And you were already 4th in this league in points scored. So I think you're just kind of really unlucky 2-4. I'd like to make one of those depth running back trades, but much easier said than done. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This is going to be out from Portly Stir Fry. Says, won 3 in a row after losing neighbors. Go figure. Jordan Love managers just dropped him and thinking I should bid on Love and Dart for the waiver wire. I have $168 fab remaining from 200. What would you bid on these quarterbacks? I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sure that the waivers have already run. Also, thinking of dropping Hunter for Burden. Congrats and thanks on the engagement. No, thank you. I mean, I got that completely mixed up, my friend, but thank you. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this. And if we are looking at this team, did we make a play for any of those quarterbacks? We have Jackson Dart. Okay. So here's the thing, man. Right now, okay, so we're 4-2. We're 4-2. We are 7th in this league in points scored. So we're kind of a lucky 4-2. And according to the league analyzer, and this isn't your fault, you lost your round 1 pick, right? Like, go figure. But you have the worst team in this league value-wise. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of agree with the league analyzer here. I do not like your team. I think you have a bad team. Now, good thing with this is the weakness of this team is your depth is horrible, but the depth doesn't matter because it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So if we are looking at the moves that we want to be making right now, I'm assuming that we can just go through and pick up these players in free agency that waivers have already run. And to be honest, there are some very clear pivots that I would make. So Jackson Dart has rushing upside. Jackson Dart looks like a super exciting quarterback for the Giants, which I think the league really needs. I really want to see. The Giants have been a horrendous team to watch for years now, and I would love long-term for this team to have a good quarterback. But with the Malik Neighbors injury this year, even though they just beat Philly, even though they just looked really exciting on Thursday, they still project to be a very bad offense. They currently project to be the lowest scoring offense in the league this week. Now, a lot of that has to do with this week. They have a tough matchup against the Denver Broncos, but still. For me, I would look at Justin Fields, where Justin Fields this year has played 4 full games. He scored 29.5, 27, 26, and 5 fantasy points. So obviously this past week, the 5 points was horrendous. The 3 weeks we've had from Dart, he scored 20, 15.5, and 23.5. So Fields has been a better quarterback for fantasy purposes. I would drop Dart for Fields, and I would also probably drop Michael Penix for Jordan Love, and then play the matchup between Justin Fields and Jordan Love going into the future. We're probably playing Jordan Love over Fields until we get Garrett Wilson back in. So I would drop those 2 quarterbacks and pick up those other. Going over to running back, we have a ton of names on this list. We don't have a true RB1, but we have guys that we can start, and we're fine with this. And we're just going to be playing the matchups and riding the hot hand. Going over to wide receiver, I think in my opinion, I would drop Jalen Coker, who at best is the wide receiver 2 for Bryce Young. And I would pick up Travis Hunter. We got the report this week. We got the report today of this coaching staff coming through and saying that they're going to start using Travis Hunter more as a wide receiver 1. So I would cut Jalen Coker for Travis Hunter. Going over to tight ends, I don't see you ever really needing to start Theo Johnson. So if you wanted to hold on to Coker, you could instead drop Theo Johnson for Travis Hunter. And then obviously I would love for us to get a better running back or a better wide receiver inside the starting lineup. But I just don't see a way that we could do it post Neighbor's injury. Our depth is garbage, so we don't really have depth to be trading. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. I think the main thing that you got to do on a team like this that doesn't have a lot of value is you're not going to be able to make a ton of trades. You're going to have to try to hit on the next Rachaad White, try to hit on the next Rico Dowdle off the waiver wire, essentially. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. Okay, let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be Langlas. Says, hey, Mason, love the content and appreciate any advice. It's a 16-team league. Want to know your thoughts on the team and any moves you would consider. Was thinking of trading Swift/Addison for Judkins last week, but thinking to try to get Saquon now. Not sure if trading 2 for 1 is worth it with no waiver wire pickups. Okay, so it's a 16-team format. So 2 for 1 deals are way less exciting in a 16-team league for the 100% for the reason that you're mentioning, because we just simply don't have the same level options on the waiver wire in terms of the replacement level players that we can bring in. Now, one thing I just realized is, okay, so we were thinking of trading Swift and Addison for Judkins last week. That's a type of move that in a 12-team and a 10-team league I'd be all about. But in a 16-team league, it's like, man, Jordan Addison's a real difference-making player for you there. In a 16-team league, you just simply can't do it. Now, Ayuk kidding me. We are the number 1 team in the league analyzer. We're 4-2. We're the 3rd team in this league in points scored as well. Looking at the options on the waiver wire, the best name on the waiver wire is possibly Dylan Sampson or Isaiah Bond. So the waiver wire is horrendous. I'm in 100% agreement. Like, trading Jordan Addison would be really, really tough. Like, going through and looking at what we have in the starting lineup right now. Our starting lineup currently, we have Daniel Jones at quarterback, running back Kyron Williams, RB1, DeAndre Swift, RB2, wide receiver, we have JSN 1, Lamb 2, we have JCM in the flex. And then we have Addison that we can play when we have other players on bye/injured. We have a top end tight end that we can play with Sam Laporta, especially in a 16-team league. Your team is, considering the fact that you're in a 16-team format, don't get me wrong, your team is better than mine. Again, don't get me wrong. But if we were looking at like our setups, I think you're in a very similar position to my own team where it's like, what's the incentive for you to make a trade? With your team, you are about to be the favorite in almost every matchup, and you have enough depth where you're going to be one of the very few teams in a 16-team format where if you have an injury, you can survive. Or you can survive through a bye. So I hate to say this, but I love your team in a 16-team format. I think you're chilling as is outside of any like obvious no-brainer trades where people in your league are like, oh my gosh, like you're going to have some teams in this league that are horrendous with the depth, right? Like this team, they're starting, if Terry McLaurin misses, they're starting Michael Pittman at wide receiver 1, Jerry Jeudy wide receiver 2, and then Jalen Coker or Tyrone Tracy in their flex spot. Let's see. This team has Bam Knight as their RB2. This team's starting Wan'Dale Robinson and then maybe Xavier Legette. Like if you could find a team that is so down bad with the depth where you can make a no-brainer trade that would never get done in a 10 team, that would never get done in a 12 team, where you can send Kyron Williams and Jordan Addison and get Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, or Jonathan Taylor, then sure. But you would need to be like given the absolute best deal possible where it's not even remotely close that you're winning it. So I think you just kind of leave this as is, my friend. I'm sorry. I wish I had something more exciting for you, but I think you're in a really good spot and I don't want to mess that up. But let's move this over to Beto. Beto, always happy to see you, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, bought the bundle. Hope you're well, my guy. I'm excited for you to see the team is quite different from the beginning of the year. I'm currently 4-2. Any moves that we should make for the long haul? I know we've been absolutely grinding through this team, my friend. We are the number 1 team in the league. According to the league analyzer, we're 4-2. We've scored the 3rd most points in this league. But after our trades, we have the best team by a decent margin. It's a league in which you can start up to 6 skill positional names in here weekly. So we have the elite tight end with Tyler Warren. We're playing the matchups between Caleb and Purdy. Running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook as 2 running back ones that we can just auto start each week. We have Trevion Henderson, Trey Benson for long-term upside pieces on a 4-2 team that makes a lot of sense. I wish we had some news with Joe Mixon. I honestly want to see Joe Mixon play this year. It's kind of sad that we're not going to get to. I was hoping coming out of the bye, we were going to hear just something about Mixon where you could potentially, like, I could say, like, oh, cut Tyrone Tracy, pick up Joe Mixon, but I don't think you can. Then, so we have Gibbs, James Cook in at running back. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Rome. In the 2 flexes, we have Quinton Johnston, Xavier Worthy. So this is another spot where it's like, hey, man, you have the top team in the league analyzer. You have a ton of depth as well. If I were looking at us doing anything here, it probably is going to be centered around us trying to get an elite quarterback. But there's a big but on that. While we have Quinton Johnston banged up, while we have Ricky Pearsall injured, while we have James Cook going through the bye, and while Trey Benson's injured and Trevion Henderson hasn't broken out yet, I don't think you have enough when it comes to the depth with the skill positions here in a start 8 format for us to be able to afford to go and get that upgrade to an elite level quarterback right now. I think realistically, you're probably going to have to sit on your hands, wait until we get like the Trevion breakout, or wait until we get Pearsall back from an injury. And then at that point, you could possibly try to flip Xavier Worthy and Caleb Williams to go get to a significant quarterback upgrade and get to somebody like Jaden Daniels. But I think you're going to be waiting until then, to be honest. But let me go ahead and make sure, if you got the bundle, you should have already vouchers in your account, but I want to make sure you have plenty of questions that you can ask. I know that you're always making moves, my guy. So let me go ahead and send some questions over to you. I really appreciate you as always, my guy. Now let's move this over to our next team. It's going to be ARC. This is a dynasty team trying to contend, but I can't get a fair offer for Neighbors. I can't betray my roots and move London or Penix, but I'm down to do anything else. Feel like I need to upgrade quarterback or something, but I'm not sure how to get there. Feels like my team is a move away, and should I move my first? Okay, so we are 9-5. This is a 10-team Superflex start 10 Dynasty League. Right now, with how things sit, we have Baker, Michael Penix, Bryce Young at quarterback. Not great in a 10-team Superflex league. We're 3-3. So here's the thing that I would look at. Not only did you have the Malik Neighbors injury, but on top of this, you had the Kittle injury. And on top of this, you had the Amari Hampton injury. So you're in a spot in which, like, you are going through it. So trading away your here's the thing. You trade away your 2026 first with Baker Mayfield, and you go get yourself an elite level quarterback like Lamar. And then all of a sudden, Jahmyr Gibbs goes down for the season. It's like, oh, okay, well, now we're done. And we have no future first that we could possibly pivot to. So for me, the clear move that I would be trying to make is I would be attacking some of these rebuilders. There have to be rebuilding teams here. This team's 1-5, right? This team's currently sitting at 1-5, and they just lost Garrett Wilson. I would offer them Amari and Hampton for Ash and Genty and see what they would say. And get you that quality player that you can put in your starting lineup right now. And maybe they're willing to say that they would rather have Hampton in the long term based off the upside that Hampton showed while healthy. This team's 2-4, and they just lost Puka Nacua. Is there a world in which we can offer them? Like, no, they're not going to do that. Issue is they don't really have many contending assets. They have Devontae Adams. Maybe you could try offering them Brandon Ayuk for Devontae Adams and see what they would say. This team here is 2-4. They have no Bucky Irving at the moment. I mean, they did just get CeeDee Lamb back. They're about to get Mike Evans back, so maybe they think they can contend. This team's 2-4, and they still are sitting with the contending assets. So again, I think maybe the trades that you make, I would not try to sell your future first at this point. I think you would be taking on too much risk with that. I would rather try to sell I don't know. I'd rather try to sell an injured player or a future player with value and hold on to our first round pick just in case we see another thing fall through the cracks. Seeing if there's anything else. With this, I think you have a good team. I agree that a quarterback upgrade would be nice. I don't see a path to get a quarterback upgrade though. Like if you wanted to try to go Bryce Young and Malik Neighbors to try to go get Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, let's go for it. But again, that's going to be much easier said than done. And the clear trade in my mind is us trading away Malik Neighbors. But if nobody's trading for Neighbors, I don't know what to tell you. I think if nobody's trading for Neighbors, then you're just looking at one of those other small swaps with a rebuilding team. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And again, yeah, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Now, let me pivot over and let's get back to some of the quick questions, the trade questions, and the start sit ones. This is from Trav Snow. My guy, what the hell are we doing trading 5 players for 5 players? Caleb to Mahomes upgrade, Judkins to Jacobs upgrade, Rome to Nico lateral move, Etienne to Chase Brown downgrade, London to Tet downgrade, London to Jacobs upgrade, Rome to Nico lateral move, Etienne, so go Judkins to Tet downgrade, Etienne to Mahomes lateral move, Caleb to Chase Brown. I think it's a fair trade. It's up to you. Like, in general, I'd say if it's ever a trade like that, I'm just keeping the side that I already have. Like, why are we trading our entire team for somebody else's entire team? Now, XXJ Kissel says, Purdy, Caleb, Love, Daniel Jones, Fields on the waiver wire. Philly, Cleveland, Miami defense on waivers too. Cleveland's defense is a much better option than Miami. I'd probably go with the Philly defense there, but Cleveland's right there. I haven't made my running back rankings yet. I'm going to have to do that after this stream. Running back, I'd play Rashad White over Etienne. Wide receiver, Rome, Pickens, auto starts. Tight ends, we're going to go with Laporta. And then flex, we're going to probably play, I go Metcalf. It's a really strong matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, throw him in at wide receiver, though. Move one of the wide receivers to the flex since you actually have Metcalf playing on Thursday. Now, King Braid trading Vidal, Hampton, and Olave for Genty. Is this a dynasty or a redraft? It's a redraft. I'd probably rather have Genty and a 10-teamer. This isn't a guarantee by any means, and I'm not saying it's even likely. But there is a real-world scenario in which the Chargers trade for Brees. They send a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick for him. They send a 6th for Kamara. And then all of a sudden, when Hampton comes in, he's in a committee. Like, that's a real-world possibility. MK7 Scar trading London for Pickens and Chase Brown. How bad do you need a running back? You don't really need one. It's a fair deal. Don't get me wrong. I'd say if a team needed a running back, probably go with the Pickens and Chase Brown side. If you don't need a running back, I'd probably opt to take London. Now, GLR, here running back. Give me Dowdle. And then for the flex, I would go with Ladd McConkey. Sid Steezy. Oh, dear God. You have Tutu Atwell in there in the flex and Luke McCaffrey. I think I'd play Gatson ahead of him. Gatson played 75% of the snaps this past week, had 8 targets, 7 receptions, 68 receiving yards. Like, I know you now have no Puka, but still. It's tough for me to ever... I know it's a super deep league. But it'd be tough for me to ever tell you to put freaking Tutu Atwell in your lineup. Okay. Now, M. Dubach, wide receiver, Brian Thomas, Deebo Samuel. Flex, we will take... Rashad White, Quinton Judkins are both phenomenal plays this week. Rashad White, wouldn't be surprised if he has 8+ targets, but Judkins, you have an incredible matchup. Now, Kalu Baldheads trading Diggs and Pickens for Tet, Hurts, and Quinton Johnston. Pickens to Tet downgrade, Diggs to QJ upgrade. You get Hurts as well. Fair deal. Up to you. I think 8-team format, Jalen Hurts gives you the elite quarterback at least. Now, Jordan trading Walker, Ladd, Kelsey for Brees and Marv. I'm going to go Brees and Marv here. Like, Brees has a path to being a real difference maker. At this point, I don't know what the path is for Kenneth Walker. My God, Kenneth Walker looks bad. Jax, I would trade Quinton Judkins for Derrick Henry myself. They're almost back-to-back in my rankings. I will say Judkins is going to go nuclear this week, though, against the Dolphins. So you could hold Judkins, play him this week against Miami, and then possibly still make that trade next week. No 13, trading White and Sutton for Bucky and J-Mo. If you have a winning record, I think you go with the Bucky, like if you're 5-1. But my expectations are you do not get Bucky Irving back until week 10. He's already ruled out this week. He's probably going to miss week 8 because they have a week 9 bye. So I'd imagine you're not getting him until week 10. So if you're like 5-1, 4-2, then sure, you can do it. But if you're 2-4, you have no business trading for Bucky Irving. Huge slipper trading Barkley and Waddle for Achane and McLaurin. Okay. Barkley to Achane, upgrade. Waddle to McLaurin, downgrade. You just had the Puka injury. Here's the thing, man. If Terry's going to play this week, you can make this deal. But you currently have Puka injured. You have Ricky Pearsall injured. So you don't really have the expendable wide receivers. You can like just say, hey, I'm fine chilling with taking a 0 here at wide receiver. Like that's not really in play for you. So I think you probably have to hold on to Saquon Barkley and Jalen Waddle. Now, C. Peterson says 2-4 just traded for Dak. Should I go for the stack? I have Bowers ranked ahead of Jake Ferg. And I would not tell you to trade Bowers for Jake Ferguson because you have Dak Prescott. Since you have CeeDee Lamb coming back in, it will be a tough spot. Now, since you're 2-4, I understand making this deal because I don't think you get Bowers back until week 9 at the earliest here, with the Raiders having a week 8 bye and he's not playing this week. Now, HCS running back, Bucky won't play, so you're playing Vidal. Tight end, Evan Ingram over Mason Taylor. And then in the flexes, dear God, you're playing Trevion Henderson and Luther Burden. If DJ Moore plays, you can play Mason Taylor over Burden. Dream says, is this worth it? Wide receiver depth is in shambles. No, this isn't worth it at all. I don't care how down bad your wide receiver depth is. 10-team league, the options on the waiver wire aren't going to be that much worse than T. Higgins. Coming from somebody who has T. Higgins in their starting lineup, there's nothing that would ever make me want to tell you to go through and put T. Higgins. So it's coming from somebody who has T. Higgins on their team. There's nothing that would ever make me want to do to tell you to put T. Higgins in your starting lineup. Okay, so let's move this back over. Let's check this out for Big Woolies. My guy, appreciate you and excited to look into this. Here's saying, thanks for all the help the last 2 years. 2-time defending champ. Dear God. 12-team full BBR, 2 IR slots. We play with 3 IDPs. That's why the roster/bench looks weird. I know no IDP help. Can you check out the roster and let me know what you would do to improve? Any trade ideas or waiver wire moves would be great. Really appreciate you, my friend. Congrats on the success. I know you're always out here with us in the live stream. Let me go ahead and let me send you out some free questions here. But we are the 4th team in the league analyzer value-wise. We've actually won the last 2 weeks. So we were 0-4. It's not like we're an unlucky 2-4 either. We are second to last in this league in terms of actual points scored on this team. So we have Joe Burrow on an IR slot, and then I'm assuming we have Brains and Ayuk in the other IR slot. So realistically, we're just starting Daniel Jones every week. Daniel Jones is in the range of quarterbacks for me that I would be okay with us going through and actually picking up another quarterback that we could put in the lineup if they have a good matchup, but looking at the waiver wire, it's not like you have an exciting QB option there. This is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. And we have Jonathan Taylor Judkinson at running back, completely fine there. We have the long-term upside of Trevion Henderson and RJ Harvey. The issue is it's a 2-4 team. We should be thinking about short-term production. Nobody's going to trade for these guys. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. Wide receiver, we have Quinton Johnston, Xavier Worthy, Mike Evans. So incredibly impressive that we won this past week with no Quinton Johnston, no Mike Evans. We started Xavier Worthy and Matthew Golden. And then we have the elite tight end with Trey McBride. So realistically, if you would have told me that we had a record at 0-4 2 weeks ago, I would have said, hey, man, you got to do anything you can to win games over the next few weeks. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to look to sell Mike Evans and try to get points inside the starting lineup. But somehow we are able to win these games without selling Evans. And on top of that as well, like now Mike Evans is coming back, so there'd be no reason to do that. I would approach, and like obviously I'm assuming you have their numbers. I'm assuming you have them with a group message or something of the sort. But if you could approach the teams at the top of the league in points scored, the teams at the top of the league with records, and gas them up a bit and go, hey, I know that I know that you're probably thinking of the playoffs. You're a super good team, blah, blah, blah. Gas them up, right? I would try to see if we could sell Trevion Henderson, RJ Harvey for any upgrade inside the starting lineup right now on a 2-4 roster. Like if I could get Trevion Henderson for dirt cheap on my 5-1 team, I would. So like going over to this squad, that's near the top of the league settings. Like, could you try sending them RJ Harvey and Xavier Worthy and getting over to Cortland Sutton? And just getting to a wide receiver that you like a little bit more here? But outside of that, I don't see much to do on your roster. I like the way that you are constructing it. When it comes to what we have with the bottom end rostering a lot of these RBs. I like the elite tight end and a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. There's no reason to sell Evans now that he's coming back in and everybody else is injured in Tampa. So I would just simply try to see if there's anybody that's going to the playoffs that still believes in the rookies that were selected in round 2 of the NFL draft with Henderson and RJ Harvey, and will give us an upgrade inside our starting lineup if we were to sell them in a 2-for-1 deal. That would be my play, but I really appreciate you always hanging out with us, my guys. I sent you over those free questions. So if there's anything else that you want to follow up with, I'd be super happy to take a look at it for you, my friend. But we're probably going to call this stream here. I know we still have some team reviews that we got to get through, but I still have to make the rankings video for y'all tomorrow. So I'm going to be up all night doing that. I've been trying with all the injuries. What I've been doing lately is like, I'm legit like not working at all until like 2 p.m. I'll like get on meetings with devs of flockfantasy.com. But in terms of making videos, it's like I kind of have to wait for all the injury stuff to come out so I can live stream. And then after the live stream, I can record the video. That way it's the most up to date with the accurate information to get y'all. So it's like I've been staying up until 2 a.m. getting these videos done. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that. So probably call this live stream here. But I really appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Obviously, I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow. I'll probably start around 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll run like 4 hours up until the game because I know we got a lot of teams that we need to look at. But appreciate everybody here hanging out with us. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you out in the live.